That's right, folks. That sound means we are back. Midway Radio is back. I am Carlos Gomez. And let's go ahead and go around the horn. We got that guy right there. That's Ryan Brockmeyer.
It's a Monday. What's up, everybody?
That's right. It is Monday.
What's going on, gentlemen?
We got that guy right there. That was Chad Sorensen, DJ Risky Business.
That's me.
We got DJ Sean Doe.
Hello, guys.
And this week, folks, we are talking to one of the premier Chicago artistic legends, Mr. Hang on. Orko.
We almost started the wrong music.
Yeah, I've been working on the budget for a live studio audience, and I almost ruined it. We're back, and it's nice to see the world has not changed. All the promises and fears that were supposedly supposed to happen are not happening. We are here, and we are live. We're talking to my man Orko. Any good things happening?
They're starting, though.
They're starting. We'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, but what's happening? But actually, before we get into the film, I wanted to share with you guys a really funny story. You guys have heard of Doug Infinite, yeah? I'm assuming.
Maybe
you mean the talented individual who produced the lovely music that tops off our broadcasts?
Yeah, if you've never heard of Doug Infinite, he may have laid this down for the show. Yeah, so I'm in the Bay Area, and Doug is in the Bay Area, and over there, it was Saturday. I went and hung out. He DJs at this spot that has just phenomenal chicken and waffles, and we're there. Yeah, actually, check this out. Ooh. All right, so I don't know if you guys know this, but I get to drawing some people. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. This is my original Doug Inf sticker. Well, actually, it was a drawing that I did, and then he liked it for some reason. I was like, I could have done better, and so then I thought I did do better. And then I came up with this guy here.
Nice.
And if you're listening on iTunes, then my apologies. You'll see these stickers. So then, and the funny thing is, I made that drawing for Doug, and he ran with it. He's like, hey, look, he made a stack of stickers. And when I mean a stack, like this stack was a solid 6 inches tall, and that it wasn't even all of them. And then he goes out and he hands me this. Now, at first I was like, what in the hell? Look at this. Doug Infinite
Need some wrapping paper.
And made wrapping paper and took 2 of his records. These are Doug Inf exclusives. Took 2 albums and a stack of stickers and wrapped them in Doug Infinite wrapping paper. Handed that to me. And then I don't know if I should tell this much of the story, but it's funny. Okay, so let me start this part of the story up by saying this may or may not have happened. I may have dreamt this. However, this here sticker may or may not be hidden all over Lucasfilms. Doug walks around with a stack of these stickers, and when he finds an opportunity to hide them, he does. So if you're at Lucasfilm, you might want to start flipping cushions. You might want to start looking in back of
This guy's at Lucasfilm.
pictures. Yeah, Boba Fett is at Lucasfilm. Yeah. So anyway, big ups to Doug. We had a blast out there. He was spinning records, and I was eating chicken and handling business. So yeah, that's my real quick before we catch up with the film story.
So,
How's everyone else's week going so far? Everything good?
good, busy, working on the film. We released a new vignette tonight. Ryan, do you want to catch everybody up with what we're doing with the film?
Sure. Well, as Risky said, we're back trying to get some vignettes up and getting into some of the other things that we've been working on. So, well, we're gonna have in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna have some cool announcements. One announcement though that we do have tonight is that we're gonna be part of this event called Chicago Voices, Hip Hop: How the City Inspires the Sound. And that is going to be next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, January 31st at 7 p.m. at the Chicago History Museum. So this is their event, but they asked us to be a part of that. It's $10 to get in, $5 if you're a member. Ayana Contreras she hosts Vocalo's Reclaim Soul show, and she's going to moderate a panel that's going to include Amina from Urbanized Music, Ad 2, both of whom have been guests on the show so far, and Andrew Barber from Fake Shore Drive. And Midway and the Center for Black Music Research. We're going to be there to show clips from Midway. We're going to put on display some of the items and stuff that we've been starting to collect from people, so you can see. So for more information on that, you can check out chicagohistory.org and then click on the events page. So that is a week from tomorrow, January 31st. So that'll be a cool event.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can we make the segue from that to Vocalo?
Sure.
Because I understand some people that are near and dear to my heart were actually on Vocalo.
We were. Thinking of Jill and Jesse from the Morning Amp. Yeah, they had Risky and I on not last week, but the week before, and then they aired that show last week. So, so yeah, if you didn't catch it the first time, you can catch it on their SoundCloud. We got the links up, and we'll keep posting them up for you to check that out. So, thank you to Vocalo and Jesse De La Pena and everybody there for putting that. It was cool. We also will be doing another interview. This will be a live interview. Wednesday night, we're going to be on Slims on Q4 Radio at 8:30. So you can check that out at q4.org Wednesday night. So
absolutely, I'm looking forward to that. And the announcements we got coming up are pretty cool. Obviously, we can't make them yet. They will be announced soon, but I'm very excited about it, and it's going to involve.
And I know it's killing Risky not to be able to talk, boy. He likes to be the one.
But I'm excited about it, and it's gonna be it's very informative. It's gonna be very good for the city.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right. I think we lost Sean Doe, but he should come back soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that all we got for updates, Ryan?
Yeah, that's kind of it. We're pausing a little bit on the interviews here at the beginning of the year, so we're gonna get back into those real shortly. And I seem to can never stress enough that we're still filming, we're still doing interviews, so please be patient. If we haven't gotten to you, please be patient. We will.
And if you know anyone that's probably sitting around somewhere with their hands crossed over their chest, just being all mean and nasty because we haven't called them yet. Tell them to relax. Tell them, tell them we're trying to get to you.
Yeah, we're getting to everybody, man. It's a process, and the people that once I think people see exactly what we're doing, they understand it. And I understand if people don't get it. Like, I'm not mad at people that don't, because they don't know what we're doing and they don't know how much it entails and how big it is. But it's a lot of work, and we're doing, as we stress and keep stating, but like, we're doing a full-time job every week for now going into our 4th year on this.
Yeah.
So with that being said,
perspective, I don't know what I have done in my life, and I'm pretty old. I don't know what I've done in my life for 4 solid years.
If not to digress too much, and because I want to get into talking to Orko here, but like it definitely doesn't seem like 4 years ago that we started planning this out. It really has been moving along really nicely. So,
but it what I'll tell you, I will equate it to like high school, because I feel like I've learned so much like I would in high school in 4 years of high school, because as much as I thought I might have known about Chicago hip hop and even my city and everything, I've gained so much knowledge and learned so much about everybody. You think you know something, you have no fucking clue.
That's what I mean. That's what I hope everybody. That's what I hope everybody
comes away with.
Comes away with and appreciates. There's a lot of things, a lot of different things that we're putting into it that I hope people come away with. But one of the things is that I really hope that they look upon the city and the hip hop scene from a larger perspective, because we're talking to a lot of people who are confined to, kind of to their network or to their neighborhood, or so we're really trying to cover. We are trying to cover everything.
Yes, so, as much as we can and as much as we know.
And trying to connect the dots on how everything intertwines.
How everything works intertwined, yeah.
And one of the people that we have already got interviewed is Orko. So Orko, what was going through your head when these guys reached out to you and were like, "Yo, we're doing this hip hop documentary thing. Would you like to be a part of it?"
Well, to be honest with you, I was with a good friend of mine named Julius. That's Doug's boy. We come up off the south side. And Julius like, "Yo, Doug is in town." I was like, "I missed him again. He came here to do the history of Chicago hip hop." I was like, "Well, what is that?" And I was trying to figure it all out, right? And Doug is my dude because I lived in the Bay Area. We'll get around to that a little bit later. But when they told me about it, I had to think about it. And when I met the guys, there was one, well, guess what? You guys broke my schedule, right? So I figured if I was going to do this live, I had to bring a lunch, right? So let me tell you what I bought. Like my bag, right? It's a bag of caps, right? I got my can right here.
Look at
my script right here. You know what I mean? And my coffee. So, I want to take my head out to you guys, man, because this is almost like you doing a tribute to rock and roll, because a lot of the guys are no longer here. And I'm not one of the older ones, but I came at the right time. Like my life in graffiti in Chicago or in the whole movement, it may sound crazy, but it's almost like Tom Hanks and Forrest Gump. I was everywhere at the right time. I was there for this. It happened. I really was there. So when I went to go talk to these guys, I was like, damn, how much could I say? I was there for that. I was there for this. I was there for that. Yeah, that went this way. But the thing was, me doing this interview right now, I don't have to go back into the 80s again. I can just say it on this movie and I'm done. And I'm it's like, are we going to do a Rocky 20? It's like Rocky 1, 2. Let's just get it over with now. And
you sat with us a long time.
Yeah, it was good. You had a nice couch. Shit.
He told you, hey, number one, he told you he packed a lunch. So whether or not you guys wanted him to be there that long, he was going to be there.
But you know what's fun, guys? When you could just, I've seen a lot of my guys go to jail. I've seen a lot of funerals. I've seen a lot of people. When you get a 13-year-old kid and he becomes famous at 13, I'm talking about rock and roll famous in this city, from 13 to 18. We're talking about 13 to 18, super famous, right? And then at 18, you got to get a job. Well, shit, half of us didn't have no diplomas, so you got to go live a regular life. So a regular life after being somebody like a Slang, Warp, or Jesse Della Penn, you know, these huge names that can get you into any neighborhood, because Chicago is segregated, right? And then you just got to go be like regular old whoever the fuck you are. That's that's worse than.
It's hard, huh?
Not only is it hard, you got to understand, man. At the time that I came up, it was only 200 of us in a whole big city. A good, it was a bunch of dudes, and then there was Ange 13, and then that was it. It was just all the guys, and then you know, it was. To tell you the truth, man, I had to really think about, like, I got ready for this interview on TV for like about, I think I got ready like at 3 o'clock, because I had to, you know, figure out what I, you know, cut the phone off, do all, and figure out what to say. You don't want to leave nobody out, because Ork lived on all sides of town. And now that I look back on it, I was primarily the only all city writer. I came off the South Side, and I came up with, you know, ACW, all those guys, small crew. I come up with them, but as far as blacks thinking that they can make it on a Puerto Rican or white crew or some stuff way up there, like the South Side is like Disciples and Stones. To get on that train and go way up north, going up north is like going out of town, y'all. So
Yeah, it is.
you know what I mean? So and then you know, graffiti or hip hop was not like a black thing. We ain't have a time for that shit. You know what I mean? So in my early days, I come up under a couple of Puerto Rican or Spanish cats that was like copycats, and it wasn't enough for me. You know, I'll let you guys ask a couple of questions before I go into what really happened. But you know, I felt like for the people that are not here, and for the people who have not had their story told, because I won't benefit from this, no way, no how. It's just that I could tell how it went for real. Like, nah, because there's been a lot of books out there. I'm like, it's kind of not the way it went. So when you guys did this, I was laughing like about a week ago. I was like, what if this shit turns into like a movie? And I remember, what's up, Sean? I see you checked in. I thought about this, and I was like, what if this shit turns like a film?
That'd be amazing.
like I already know like Morgan Freeman would be like slang or some shit, because he like that cool. I don't know who would be who. You know what I mean? And because it can, like, I know you guys put this together as like a little project, but I know this shit has been a nightmare because you don't know a whole lot about this. You like, it's like dating it's like you think you're gonna go over a girl's house and you're gonna grind on her and get a kiss, right? And then you walk into a room with a naked grown lady. It's like, fucking with this.
That's a crazy comparison. That's nuts.
For the record, that's when you roll up your sleeves.
Yeah, so when I
time to go to work.
So that was what made me feel good about doing the project, was when I went and saw how serious you guys was. You guys had like real studio microphones and shit. You know, it wasn't like no camcorder and shit. Y'all had like the real shit and shit. I was like, what does it do with the chair? You know, you go cut. I was waiting on him and shit.
You're waiting for you're waiting to walk into a room full of iPhones.
Yeah. Or a room full of cops. You know, shit. I thought y'all was cops and shit.
But I mean, your reaction hasn't been, you know, it hasn't been the only one like that, and that's what we really kind of take pride on in doing this stuff, because, you know, Risky and Sean and I, we all came up in Chicago hip hop to various ways, and knowing different people and that kind of stuff, and it's like, you know, somebody like you, like, obviously I've known the name Orko for a long time, but I've only met you because of this project. So right. It's, you know, so you're the exact type of person. It's like, yeah, you are, you know, an important figure that we have to talk to. And the fact that you are like, you know, yeah, like, what is this about? And now that I've seen, you know, we went through, you've seen the questions, you've heard the questions that we've asked, you know that it's, you know, kind of the angle that we're going at. And it's, you know, I love hearing that you're like, oh, now, you know, I get it. Like, you know, like I get what your guys are trying to do. So, I mean, that really, you know, that really means a lot from me. I know I can probably speak for the other guys too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, back when I was a teenager, or when I was in, you know, grammar school like that, they had this cartoon called Masters of the Universe, right? And I said, John, right? So you see like the hat, you see the hat and the scarf, right? That's what he had, a scarf and a hat. So you said you didn't see me that much, but shit, look at the cartoon. He would come just on the commercials and he would get up out of there, you know what I mean? So there it is.
I was going to give you a hard time because of that. I was going to be like, okay, how many times has Mattel or whoever owns them come to you and be like, yo, stop it? You know what I mean?
Hey, but true story. Guess what? It started off with the cartoon, right? And then I shortened it to ORK. I stopped writing Orko, but Orko always stood for Only Rodney Knows One. Like whatever was going on, I knew the answer. Like which way do you go to get the spring out? You take that way, so it became ORK. You know what I mean? So I missed that little cartoon though.
I think Risky's probably got these as well.
Oh, I got those, yeah, for sure.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to see that too. But I got a question though. I got a question for you guys. I want to know. First of all, who came up with the idea, and what was you? I mean, what did this come from that you guys would? That's funny. You know what? That's funny that you did that. I'm gonna get you for that though. That's funny. Whoever put that toy. But anyway, because it really means a lot to us. As much as you guys are doing this, it means much to us because we don't get a chance to see each other. Niggas got kids and girls. It's just so, you know what I mean? We don't get a chance to really do the things that we should do for free. You know, you can't really hang out with people when you got a light bill and shit. You know, you got to go home. You know what I mean? You know, like
I can't have fun. I got to pay the rent.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead and get y'all questions out, man. I got a whole lot to say to y'all in a few minutes.
Well,
hey, we can sit back and let you go.
I can answer and tell you. No, to answer your question, I think me and Ryan can answer for sure. Well, Ryan came to me and was like, we've always talked about doing something. I mean, we've always, obviously, I've DJ'd, and he was creative director at a what were you? What was it, a marketing firm or what was it?
Yeah.
And yeah, and I mean, he was just paying the bills, and he was fucking angry and frustrated and hating everything, right? And he's like, I'm out of here, and we're gonna do. He calls me up, and he's like, I'm out of here, and we're gonna do a fucking movie. And I'm like, word up, whatever. And I'm like, well, what are you gonna do it on? And we were talking about some things. I think you kind of knew right away, though, you wanted to do something on Chicago hip hop, right?
Yeah, I've wanted to do something on Chicago hip hop for a long time. I mean,
it was either that or the Chicago porn industry, but that one, we didn't know anybody for that one.
Nope. So he comes to me and he was like, yo, you know, let's do this. And we were talking about different things people have, tried to do, or the ones that have been out there. And a lot of things, as we said this numerous times, and again, and the stuff that's out there is dope, and it's no slight to anybody. My thing is, it's always been more focused on just crews or certain individuals or a handful of people here on the north side, and it kind of neglects it. Yeah, and it's or certain side of town, and it kind of neglects. Chicago's so unique. There's so many different, like I always say, we're a tale of three cities. We've got so many different styles and so many different things going on in different places. I was like, it's not really indicative of what Chicago is. It's just one crew, and there's so many different crews that represent so many different styles and just their own unique part of Chicago hip hop. And I was like, man, if we're gonna do this, let's just fucking commit, do it right, and do a full-blown movie on everything. And 4 years later, we're half insane in the bag, but we're getting there.
I mean, when we first started putting it together, the first two people that I called was Risky and then Kevin Beecham.
Yeah,
from WNUR. And Risky was the one that suggested Sean. I had known Sean a little bit, just from the scene and going out, but I didn't know him as well as I know now from working on this. I'm glad that I do. He's been an amazing friend and piece to everything. So,
and he came up with the name of the film.
And it was Sean Doe came up with the name of the film.
It was.
But when we first started doing it, it wasn't necessarily this giant, expansive thing. We wanted to do, a 2-ish hour documentary on Chicago hip hop. So we were like, okay, who are the top 40 or 50 people that we need to talk to, and we started making that list. But again, I think this is one thing that makes a project like this different from other projects or this particular project different from other projects like this, is that it's being made by people who came up within the subject that we're talking about, So as we're sitting there, we're talking about how, who we need to talk to and all this other kind of stuff. It's we just kept like, well, we can't leave them off. We can't leave them off. We can't leave them off. And then at some point we're just like, we'll interview everybody that we can, and put it together after that. And that's kind of what it turned into. And then we ended up partnering with Columbia and the Center for Black Music Research. And now that's gotten bigger. And so it just keeps growing.
That is dope. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's pretty much where we're at now. We've got our crew, we've busted butt, and now we have the pleasure of not only interviewing you but talking to you now. So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
This is something that I'm really interested in, because all the way even dating back to New York's birth of their graffiti scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was this always trying to meld street art, as they say, into the fine art world, right?
Right.
It dates back to Basquiat. And I mean, well, that as far as I know. And I'm curious, because you're someone who has crossed over and you are an established, influential graffiti artist, street artist, however people want to title it. And then you've also now made a name for yourself in fine art. So what made you go into that? I mean, there's obvious reasons, but I think there might be other things that entailed what you went into. But and then how does that, like, what are the differences and the comparisons, and do you get flack?
Well, I'll break it down to you like this, right? It's two different things. I'm like Tony Stark's and Iron Man. You know what I mean? you gotta leave. It's totally separate. Graffiti, period, don't belong in a gallery at all. Graffiti's on a subway and on a wall, and it's done illegally. Graffiti is not street art. We only have one commonality, and if I get dissed for this, I mean, I'll live with that. But the only thing that we got related to street art is this little object right here, which is a can. Because the thing, and if I was a doctor, then y'all wouldn't diss me for this. But let's just break this down. Let's take a graffiti artist and then a street artist, right? Now, a graffiti artist, first of all, the thrill of getting chased and painting at night. And if you paint at night now, fellas, check this out. The light is damn near blocked down in the yards. The light is the street lights or a car coming past. So you got a limited window to get this shit bold. So if you get it real bold and it's at night, you don't know you use a whole lot of hot pink into that turquoise and put that black outline and highlights. So the next day, that shit's bright as shit, right? So the next day you take your ass up there and there's no police, so there's no thrill. There's people passing by taking pictures, there's no thrill. And the sun is up against this wet paint, so you're blinding yourself, and some street artist is lapping your ass like you can't keep up with that. So it's two different things,
Sure.
And the thrill of us doing it at night and being anonymous. The thing was, like you guys, who is Ork? Who is Ork? Who is Ork? That's some hot shit. Oh, Ork be at the mall at 3 o'clock tomorrow. That's not hot shit in hip hop. Nah, I'm sorry. It wasn't like that. You know what I mean? So the whole fine art thing was, I used to go to school on the south side of the school called Kennedy. And true story, y'all, it was an all-white school, and it's like a handful of Puerto Ricans and blacks. So, the art teacher was black. I just thought she was going to be on my side, right? So, me being out the projects, if you're from the projects of Chicago, no matter what you do, you got somebody around you that know that, right? Somebody in my own business. Check this out, yo. Check this out. This is funny as hell, right? So the advanced class come in, right? And they come in with some airbrushes, like some badges. Well, shit, we had stole all of our waters, right? So one of these stupid ass dudes from my neighborhood, she said, these are my advanced students. One day you'll get a chance to be them. So now I'm sitting third seat from the back. And these cats
minding your own business.
Check this out, they pull out the airbrushes and they start drawing like circles and like apples. They had to think I'm a graffiti writer at this point. So my man said, hey, yo, that ain't nothing, man. I'm telling you, my man back here, Rod, get up here and show him, man. You better show him. So I brought this in my bag, right? So I go up there and do the dude name on the wall with the brick and, you know what I mean, and the whole shit, and got an F in the midterm. What the fuck? And so I got to take this shit home. To my mom. She said, how the fuck you get an F in the midterm? So
you pass every class, but you fail art.
Yeah, so check this out. So at that point, I dropped out. And I said, I'm going out to the art world because y'all said that graffiti artists couldn't qualify to be in the art world. So I put the spray paint down and I picked up everything that they had and I went after them. And that was my life mission. So it's not like, I don't want like anybody watching this, man. I tell you, man, Ork is always Ork, man. I'm trying to tell you right now, it's like that Rocky shit. If y'all want like an Ork 8, I can come out tomorrow. I still got like footwork and shit. I still got my cans, my caps. I'm still that dude. You know what I mean? But you know, the thing that hurt my feelings the most, man. You know what I mean? And I'll say this because of you guys. Other than this, I wouldn't say this in my life. You know, a lot of us died, man, and we went to jail. And out of all of our superstars, you know what I mean? We didn't have like a GoFundMe fund to take care of none of this shit. Like if I die tomorrow, like Orko has to be in the morgue because none of us put away no money for like. I mean, you got your own kids' responsibility, but you would think all these massive names that we would be able to write a check like the New Yorkers, and then even the New Yorkers was stuck. We'll get into that after you ask me a couple more questions because I can break that shit down. But it's the reason why I did that, and it's the reason why I separate the two. It's the reason why you'll never catch me doing graffiti at an art show again after 1988 because I did it in '88, and I was the first graffiti artist to sell a canvas in a gallery in Chicago ever. So it's the reason why I didn't use that in the art world. You know what I mean?
How old were you when you first started painting outside?
Well, you know. Let me see. Is there any police listening? You know what I mean? We're gonna fuck around and get me in trouble. I mean,
if you were, let me ask like this: if you were to get into graffiti, at what age would you prefer getting into said art style?
Shit, as soon as you can sneak out the crib.
That's right.
6.
But check this out. Check this out. This is how real hip hop is in the early Chicago days, right? And you know, you can always, you know, somebody lying or somebody ain't real. You know, you guys are directors and writers for this movie. You can kind of tell what's real and what's right. You know, like old folks, they hear they jam and shit, and then they just start snapping their fingers, right? Like Ork is the cat that, like, as soon as I hit the scene and people knew a little bit about who I was, guess what was playing, yo? Take a shot. This is what came on. This how hip hop I am, you know what I mean? This came on. That's it. Let's rock.
Orko had theme music.
All right, we're gonna warn y'all that. We're gonna stop that though. We're gonna stop it. That's how hip hop Ork is. You know what I mean? That's my song. HBK.
Awesome.
You know, Kid will play that shit and he say my name on the radio. Yo, this is going out to Orko. And I thought I was like the freshest shit ever because he said my name on the radio.
Well, these are back in the days when it actually meant something.
Hell yeah, it meant something. And then if you got up the most, your name got mentioned again. So, you know, you just kind of. The thing that was interesting, and this is something that's funny too, and I had 2 different lives in graffiti. There's 2 things in Chicago you could be. You could be a graffiti artist and a graffiti writer. Now, this was the most fucked up thing I ever got involved in because I was a graffiti artist because of Trickster and Slang and all the big boys and ABC and all those guys. But I had a Northside crew like Paint, Tap, Mosa, and all those guys. They was like, yeah, that wall look nice, but that wall don't move. You ain't a king unless your shit moving. But damn, I just got to doing a big ass wall with Trickster, and now I got to go out with y'all ass and fucked around. All this burning me out on both ends. I got hit by a fucking train, fucking with them being both. Can you believe that shit? Bastards.
You went back into art class all limping and stuff. Your teacher was like, huh, told you.
Oh, well, no. Remember, I left the class. When she gave me the F, there was no more seeing her again. I had.
That's how you fix that.
I wanted to beat the lady up, man. I wanted to put up
If it makes you feel any better. If it makes you feel any better, in high school, I took Spanish 3 and failed that. I can't speak Spanish.
Okay.
I can't communicate with my father or my grandmother unless I speak Spanish. They told me I didn't know how to speak Spanish. I was like, okay. So then that happened. So you were hanging out with folks like Trickster and those guys. Actually, let me ask this first. Since you technically failed out of art class and you didn't go back and any of that, did you ever go back and do like all this color theory stuff? Or did you just show up and whatever cans you had, that's what you did?
Actually, back in the days, because of the neighborhood that I lived in, I knew the white department stores, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody was stealing like 2 or 3 cans. I went in there with a suitcase and filled that shit up and just went to Trick's house. I didn't know how to do letters better than him, so I was doing the backgrounds. He'd be like, fill that shit in that color. So I didn't know nothing about color theory. Look, that's how I learned. I don't know. What you want me to say?
That's how you learn.
That's how I learned.
Who was your influence in that era? Who was the person mainly influencing you, Orko? Because you become a very influential artist yourself. Who influenced you?
Well, you know what? Someone has stole a page out of Subway Art, right? And I saw the Happy Holidays card by Scene, and I couldn't believe somebody did some shit like that. I thought it was a sticker. That was the one. But we went to go see Beach Street. And first of all, let me tell you guys something. When it comes to this hip hop thing, I'm a part of the whole culture because no one knows that there was a West Coast hip hop as well as there was a New York hip hop. So back in '82, I was at Fisherman's Wharf with the top hat, with the colored hair inside the hairnet, with the suits on, with the routines. We off of craft work. That was our shit. You know what I mean? That's what we did, right? So we didn't spin on the floor. That was not our thing because the suits cost you about $300-400 a piece. So by the time how the fuck does that work? But the thing is, with that being said, they had their own thing. So when Dr. Dre came out, he was scratching, it's time. I knew about that already. So I knew Dr. Dre from the World Class Wrecking Crew. I didn't know him for NWA. So I was telling people over here about over there because unfortunately they thought I was from Italy because I came back with the Feli suits on, and Chicago barely had enough money for Adidas. They gave me a Feli suit and a tie. What the fuck is that you wearing? It's the Tide One, it's T.I. and it's a Feli. Then the shit came out later and everybody rocking them, but it was 2 different things. So like I told you guys earlier, that Forrest Gump shit, when I watched the movie, I'm like, damn, I live just like Tom Hanks and shit. I was right there. So half this shit makes me like a lie, man. I ain't gonna lie. I got light bills in like 7 different cities and shit.
Have you ever done anything else besides art for a professional career?
Oh, true story, man. My grandmother got mad because I was writing on the wall, so I worked at Fisherman's Wharf, right, selling popcorn, right? And it was an award to see who could sell the most popcorn. So these stupid motherfuckers thought I was going to try to beat the dude that sold 300 things of popcorn a day, but I figured out a system because I racked, we rack paint, so I racked the cups. So if you finish your cups, you call in the base and you get extra cups. Well, when I went to work, I stole like 10 rolls of cups and hid them in my man's cart. So, when the popcorn comes over the thing, I already had my cups lined up like a spot. Like I was an original dope boy and shit. Like the popcorn is already going to cups. So when the shit come out, it's already distributed in the cups. And I sell that shit off. And once again, they shorted me, yo. I was like 3 cups away from winning. And they called me, base the popcorn. You're off work now. Hey, well, fuck it, I'm permanently off work. I ain't trying this shit again. Fuck work. Damn, man, I can't work for nobody.
Permanent vacation.
Oh, my God. So you're originally from Chicago?
Yeah, I'm from 43rd Cicero, Leclerc Courts, Southwest side.
Nice. So what was it that brought you out to the Bay Area?
My grandmother, no, my auntie moved out there. She was like, her last name is Aguirre, so I guess she thought that she wasn't totally black. I don't know what the fuck she did that shit for, so she went up there. Started hanging out with Spanish people and shit. In the hood, we go up there, and the shit was just extra nice. Once I went, hey, yo, true story, yo. I went up there, right, and I don't know, I know my man know what's going on and live up there. Like, you know, seafood costs a lot of money in Chicago, but in San Francisco, they got like Fisherman's Wharf. You get like a whole crab for like $16 or some old crazy shit back in the day, right? Like $8 and shit. So every weekend we would get allowance. So when you get allowance, you go to Fisherman's Wharf, you get you remember the little toys? I know you guys remember these toys. You wind them up, it's just like the R2D2, and they do all kind of shit. So you got like 75 bucks, you can buy toys, stuffed animals, you can do whatever you want all weekend with the allowance money, right? So the family's like, yo, everybody, you know, I was kind of last in line to get my allowance. So everybody's picking what they want. Everybody got shoes and all this shit. And so my aunt asked me what did I want. And I pointed at the Golden Gate Bridge. She said, that's going to be a little bit more than $75. So after that, I stayed out there.
Wow. One thing when you were out,
Gate Bridge.
when you were out in, well, this is something that's part of your legacy. When you were out, and we talked about being influential, when you were out in the Bay Area, you ended up becoming one of the most influential artists out there, unbeknownst to you, from what I understand.
Well, let me explain this for the record. First of all, some people, I don't know if they really take what they do serious. Like I'm like I think my priest or anybody that know me know that I don't do shit in moderation. I go all in. I'm gonna do it or I'm not. So when I dedicated my life to doing graffiti, I wanted to know who started this shit and where it come from. So at the time, me and Trickster had, you know, I got some pocket change. But here's, first of all, before I go any further, this interview right here is dedicated to Warp, because there's a book called Bomb the Suburbs, and if it wasn't for me and Warp solely, no one would know each other. So I can't utter another word without paying homage to him, period. Now that's, first of all, we get into that story a little bit later, but we went to New York City and we stayed with a legendary guy by the name of K2. And I wanted to find out everything about it. So you got each one of you guys, like I know you guys, when y'all got into this project, y'all was like, man, we're gonna do this movie. You know, y'all wish for some shit, right? And now y'all got a world of motherfucking problems. Texas, telephone. Let me tell you what I wish for. I wish to find out what graffiti was about, what New York was about. So me and Trickster go out there, right? We get stranded at Case 2's house. I won't go into that, but it didn't turn out great for me. So now Trickster's the lucky dude. While Trickster was eating pomegranates and meeting motherfucking different writers and shit, I got robbed in front of the rooftop with no money, right? So the man told me in front of the rooftop, yo, B, break yourself, take your clothes off. Man, I ain't got no money, I ain't taking my clothes off. So one of the other guys had jewelry on. I said, look, man, let's get him. But the guy we was gonna rob was the main guy that ran the neighborhood. So I became one of them hustlers like on Paid in Full in New York. So New York was quite interesting, but I found out what New York was about. So after you get through doing graffiti in New York, you got to go back to the block, and you got to go to DC. You got to run the packs. And I got caught with like 15 pounds of crack. I didn't know what the fuck that was. The police smacked me up. I thought my man's gave it to me. I thought it was some more. I didn't know what the shit was. Without my Chicago ID, I would have went to jail. So that New York shit was tough. So that whole thing going from New York coming to Chicago, and I got to think. When we went to New York, we realized what graffiti was about. And when I got home, you know, like I was the first person to go to California. I don't even think people in Chicago knew which way California was. I thought they thought we were talking about the jail on 26. They did not know that you can get on a train and go all the way from California, like where the ocean is. So when I told people I was leaving, they thought I was going to jail. so true story. So I go over there, right? Now here's where it gets interesting, man. Because this is, you know, I love the Bay Area, but Bay Area gave me a short deal until Roger Gatzman wrote this book. They lied so much. And they lied. They didn't lie on me. They lied on Chicago. Now here's the thing. There's a book called Subway Art, and we wasn't in it, and that's cool. But there's another book called Spray Can Art, right? Now this old ass dude, Jim Prigow, who's my man, he doesn't have the legs to get up on the L tracks and take the pictures of the rooftops, because if you did walls in Chicago, you did them on the rooftops. So he takes a picture of quote unquote that fine art commission shit that Trickster did on Logan Square, which is not normal Trickster, and he put that shit in the book when the fly shit was on the rooftop. So we got looked at like we was terrible. So when I got to San Francisco, something strange happened, man. I felt like they broke my heart because Henry Chalfant, I don't know how he says his name, Henry felt like he owed us a favor because we got dissed in New York. So when I told Henry I was going to California, Henry said, I want you to talk to this guy by the name of Jim Prigoff when you get there. I called Jim, and true story, I was supposed to meet Crayon first. But he says this other cat by the name of Doug. So I got my black book. Now I got, I got those little piece books, like a little one, like about this size and shit, like this size. Well, Slang had this big ass book, and we'll get to that too. So I took a big piece book out there with all our stuff in it. So I took the book over to Doug's house, right? And if you look at Psycho City, which was the hottest thing moving at the time to date, I went over to Doug's house and showed him this because Doug was not Doug Infinite, what the fuck, hold on, that's my boy. Doug TMF was the closest thing to what I thought soul was up there. They had the cholos, and they weren't really playing rap music. The Beastie Boys had probably just hit out there. So he was looking for something that reminded you of something.
This is mid-'80s, right, Orko?
Yeah, I'm an 80s guy. But this is funny now, because what happened with these guys, I went by his house, I showed him the black book, right? And the next day and a half, he put all our shit on the wall. Right? So everybody was like, Doug did this dope ass wall. So we look, and I was like, that's Slang shit. And it's Trickster's letters. And he did not give us credit for it. So he bid our shit, and you know what I mean? And he didn't give us credit. And I didn't feel like getting cussed out by Slang and Trickster, because y'all know him as being cool, but I was gonna get cussed out behind that one. And I was like, well, y'all take that shit. They took that shit. What the fuck? You know what I mean? And I felt like, not only did you diss me, you diss my city. First of all, you said Chicago and shit, and y'all opening up this fucking book, and the book is terrible when it comes to Chicago, but our styles is on y'all wall. And I felt like that was not right. You know what I mean? Come on now, don't Milli Vanilli us. Fuck all that.
Yeah, exactly.
That was not right. Because I just didn't feel like that was right. And I don't want to keep playing her out there, because I love TMF. I love Rise, Bizarro. I still got love for Doug. He just made a bad move. He ordered lobster at fucking Burger King. That was not his shit. So I just didn't feel like that was the right thing to do, because, first of all he had to do was put a scroll. Back in the days, niggas had the scroll shit on the side, influenced by the Trickster and Slang, and I would have been cool with that. But don't just take our whole script, you know what I mean, and do that to us. So that's how that went.
Yeah.
Is that how you guys brainstorm when you're planning out your different pieces? You walk around with a sketchbook?
We didn't walk around with nothing, man. This is a true story, and this is funny because Slang at the time lived in like what is called Wicker Park. But Slang couldn't come out with me and Trickster a lot. I didn't care, you know what I mean? After getting the F, I was like, fuck it. Whatever we're gonna do, we're gonna do it. And Trickster, his mom was like, fuck it, you know what I mean? She didn't know what time was, fuck it. But anyway, a lot of the pieces that we was doing at the time, we really ran the concept past Slang, because Slang would give us the sketches of the characters. So Slang was like, what's that nigga name on Space Giants in the mountain? Like, what's his name? Methuselah. It's like Goldar, Miko, and Silver, and then they jump out the volcano and shit. Like Slang was like one of them type of cats. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all that old and shit. It's like, So even today, he is the reason that hip hop has that much soul in the city, because he was like this little dude with a piece book about as big as a fucking building, and I couldn't believe he did all that shit in that big ass book. And he would, he was basically, you know, me and Tricks would just go out and do whatever Tricks was doing at the time. But Slang was really somebody who couldn't come out with us because he was getting a lot of trouble. Like, he went with us, he get on punishment for like the rest of the year. So a lot of those walls he was supposed to be on, but a lot of the concepts for those walls, even if he didn't design the wall itself, a lot of the flavoring of those walls, he had a lot of influence on that stuff. You know what I mean? And we was always mad because he couldn't go and shit. Like, damn, we were Slang. We did one wall together, ABC, MPC, TCP, and that was about it. And it was so fun to do that shit with him and Tricks, you know, because we some jokesters. You know, we cracking your mama jokes and shit. You know, we doing all kinds of shit in the wall. You know what I mean? And that one wall was the wall that I fell in love with because that was when we was really, you know, through the hard way. You know what I mean? So that was that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You ended up building a pretty tight relationship with a lot of the New York graffiti legends, though. You recently had Scheme in Chicago with you, right?
Yo, that's my dude, man. We back down, baby. We back down. Hey, I'm the youngest member of a crew called the X Vandals in New York, and I was put down by Case 2. But you know, Chicago is so hot dog, pizza. We got that, you know, I'm like Al Capone, they're like Maya Lansky. You know, we kind of got that with New York. And I'm so Chicago that I didn't think it was a good idea to put another crew up over a Chicago crew. I love Case, rest in peace. I love Span 153, them who put me down, took care of me. And I just felt like the feds and MPC meant the world to me, and the Sears Tower and the John Hancock was just like my shit. I didn't really care for the trade centers and the fucking what is that? What is that shit called? The Empire State Building? That shit wasn't sexy. Like for me, I like the Sears Tower and the Hancock. So I just stuck with my shit. You know what I mean? So I didn't put that up, but I'm down with them to this day. But I'm a Chicagoan, so
no, that's super dope. That's super dope that you were able to be kind of self-aware, because a lot of people, that seems to be a problem with Chicago sometimes, that a lot of people, like, they just want to get on, so they jump on stuff and they kind of let themselves get molded, and you know, you were able to hold your ground and be like, yo, I'm glad to be a part of this, but I'm Chicago and this is what we represent. And that's the whole point of our film.
What the thing about Chicago is this, man. The reason that you get a Kanye West, right? We'll stay on that for like a split second. The reason you get a Kanye West is because when I was touring with Tony, and Digital Underground, Tupac, and all those guys, they would always want to come to Chicago. And I was like, what the fuck is in Chicago? The Disciples? And they would always want to go to Chicago. Well, what I found out later on was that we were the audience. We had no stars. So we was where you would be starstruck. And we would get, you know, they would come here to get the weed, the girls, the royal treatment, and they leave with a bag of money. Everywhere else that we went, it was stars there. Like you go to New York, so you know, you go anywhere else, you meet up with stars, and y'all just hang out, smoke weed. Chicago, there was no stars. Like Lou Rawls, that was it. We didn't have nobody.
Wait, Lou Rawls had a parade of stars, though.
I'm talking about, you know, we, you know, just this, you know, we had no stars. So, you know what I mean? That is why you get a guy like that to come out that bold and just say so much, because we was oppressed and shit. It's like, finally we got our shot, so we just say any crazy ass things with no motherfucking no blueprint. Like you wasn't really supposed to say that. Fuck that, I'm from Chicago. Okay, it's almost like the Cubs winning and you try to talk to somebody on the north side. No, you can't say shit. We finally won. So that's that story, and I'm sticking to it.
For sure. So you just said you were on tour with Tony, and Tupac and some of this Digital Underground. How did all that come about, and what were you doing?
Okay, well, check this out. Once again, Slang.
Oh boy.
Slang decided that he wanted to go to California. So he talked me into going to California. So we pack up our bags and we got our dream together. So we go out to California and Slang get homesick. He comes home. So I go out one day and I run into Chill Rob G. And I know who he is, and don't nobody who I'm with know who he is. I said, Chill Rob, what the hell you doing in San Francisco? I said, what you mean, Chill Rob? From the Flavor Unit? And I knew who he was. And he was like, yo, what did you? So I showed him my piece book. He said, you ain't do that. So I made him a dope ass T-shirt like Chill Rob G, and on the back it said the 45 King. So he invited me to the show. When we got to the show, I met Sway and Tech, you know, and I was like, okay, this dude named Sway is cool. This nigga named King Tech was like amazing. I was like, fuck is this white boy doing the turntable? It's just nice, right? So they thought that I was with the Flavor Unit, which I wasn't, which Chill Rob said I was. You know, New Yorkers kind of wear sands and shit. While I was with him, he brought me in the show, and I met a girl, and she was fine as hell. And I was like, man, I didn't know I was available because she thought I was from New York. I was like, no, I stay here. But, you know, me and Slang had mastered the art of doing those Austrian crystal coats, like these $5,000 jackets and shit. So we had crystals and shit. We crashed. Probably got like $10 in our pocket, but the jacket, like we had 5,000 and shit. So I started doing jackets for the stars, man. And, you know, like a lot of those jackets that you were seeing back in the days on the West Coast, that was me. But the thing was, while you was on stage performing, looking with the diamonds, I was in there with fucking blisters on my fingers, pushing the stones in the coat. So it was a that I saw. So I did a pair of pants with a RoboCop and a Roger Rabbit for this girl, and she was fine, but she knew all the entertainers. And if you guys know the Bay Area, and I'm pretty sure my man that lived up there do, it's a record place in Berkeley called Leopold's. And a girl by the name of Nora Steen worked at Leopold's. And everybody knew Nora Steen because they get the 12 inches from her and whatever have you. And she hooked me up with Tony, Tupac, Digital Underground, the whole demo. So I was making the outfits for these guys, and I was able to just ride shotguns, not really a bunch of out-of-city tours, just something locally around. And that's when I ran across Tupac. He left a message on the answer machine. And, you know, I don't get into that story, man, because I'm not like a groupie, but the dude had a long name, and, you know, if you ever airbrush, that's a long-ass name to put across the shirt, like Tupacalypse. I like, this is going to be a problem because this nigga got a long-ass name. And because I was an East Coast or Chicago guy, and I knew more about flow or whatever. And at this point, you know, you're talking about the point that I was doing that, you know, everybody was listening to Grand Poobah and all of that, right? I was listening to Michael Franks. I was on some cool, smooth shit, eating broccoli and shit. Got a fish tank with, goddamn it, you know, colored lights. That was cool. Like, what the shit you got going on? But I was hip hop, so you know, my money was coming off the stars and out of a mall called Eastmont Mall in Oakland. If you go to Eastmont Mall in Oakland, you probably wouldn't make it out of there. It's dangerous. So I met a lot of those guys there. You know, Ray from Tony. I met a lot of those guys, but we did not know that Oakland was gonna get that big, and we definitely didn't know that Tupac was gonna get that big. Well, I kept doing T-shirts for him. You know what I mean? It was just another one of those missed opportunities. You know, but I was able to introduce Chicago to him. You know what I mean? And to see, and this is the thing I'll tell anybody that's watching this. It's all right to go get fame and do whatever you think you want to do, but kind of keep your crew close with you. Because when you find yourself out there, and I felt victim of this because I'm like a nigga that'll get like a backpack and lead them on and end up in like Salt Lake City and shit, start all over. And then you be like, well, where's your friends? Oh, well, they're kind of in Chicago, with no way down here. So, but you find yourself doing it, I thought that I felt like, where's the guys that he was with when he started? Because, you know, like you four, and I hope you four stay together with this film, because let's say one of y'all branch off and go off to like Europe and shit with this project going, and then you end up in Europe talking about this project and you ain't got the other guys, and he's just out there by your damn self and you hit by a car. Well, one of those guys is with you, like, you know, you can't walk out there, these motherfuckers is drunk. And then you lose your
I love how detailed you're and he was out there and he got hit by a car. Orange juice went everywhere.
Just keep your crew with you, man. Crews are important, man. Crews is very important, man. Really
we might know a lot of the same people, because I started hanging out with some artists out here and some music producers and stuff out here, and you started throwing out some names. I was like, oh, I know a guy who works with him right now, and I know a guy.
Hey, but yo, since you're out there, check this out. I mean, to interrupt you, but guess who the coolest white boy of all times in hip hop? I mean, no one can beat him. Hands down. Look, hold on. Give me a minute. I got some. No, hold on. Give me a minute. No. Hold on.
I gotta know what's coming.
Hold on.
I gotta see this.
You see this? You see what this is, right? Poker chips. I put all my chips on DJ Fuse. That's it. Coolest white boy of all times is DJ Fuse.
I'm Fuse. Oh, from Digital Underground. Yep.
Yo,
Raw
check
Fusion.
this out.
Yep.
Check this out. I did the Raw Fusion album cover, the logo. But anyway, that's small talk. But look, let me tell you about this dude. Not only was he cool as hell, he could cook his ass off, and he had a fine-ass black girlfriend. Everything about it just seemed like a movie. I was waiting for somebody to yell, cut. He lives in Oakland. His chick got a small waist, a nice ass, the whole demo. And I'm like, all right, now, did you get this because that dude put that nose on? But he really had that type of swagger without Humpty. I was like, you know, Dave was behind. I don't call him DJ Fuse. I never call him. I call him Dave. He took me to some of the best soul food restaurants. I mean, and he was just like the coolest motherfucker. Like, you couldn't just like diss him and shit. Like, you know how at some point in hip hop, like, you would get dissed if you was like not Puerto Rican or black. That shit was not happening with DJ Fuse. He was like the cool, like, Fuse is, you go by Fuse house to eat, and then you just run into like AMG and shit. Like DJ.
Wow.
Yeah, Fuse has to eat.
So you did the logo or the artwork for Raw Fusion?
That little globe, electric shit, whatever that shit they had going on. Yeah, that was me. I mean, I think that with those guys, right, it was funny with those guys because everybody had their side projects in that group, but whenever Shock G stepped in, it was some money on the table. Like, Shock would just drift out, then he'd come back and make a hit record, and everybody get laid forever and shit. I got laid because I was affiliated with them. I wasn't in the group. Just because I did like 3 T-shirts for them, I got laid like the whole season and shit. fucking Shock G, man. God damn it.
And for the kids that are listening, by getting laid, he means a box of crayons. Just playing.
Yeah. But getting back to this whole graph thing, man, because first of all, anybody out there that's a part of this whole thing that I don't get a chance to mention because, like, I left home at like 13 and committed my life to this. So I lived with everybody. I got like 19 stepmothers in this motherfucking city. So I stayed at everybody. Like, I stayed at your house, your house, your house, your house. So I know all your friends, all your friends, all your friends. So I can't mention everybody, but I can tell you to the point of when I can tell you how it happened. And, you know, you don't have to give me an Academy Award, an Emmy, or some type of credit for this because it doesn't credit me none. I'm a grown-ass man with a whole nother signature. But I was there. I saw it. It was 2 radio stations, and there was only one rapper at the time, and one popular DJ at the time, and they were New Yorkers. And the New York DJ by the name of Peely opened up this club called Steps. And Steps was when the shit was really popping. If anybody you interviewed don't know about Steps, they're not a part of the era that made the city hip hop. Remember, this is a gangbang house music city. It was only a few of us that did that shit called hip hop, not the breakdancing only. They were talking the whole shit. So we would get together and we would meet on. It wasn't even the writers' bench at the time because remember, nobody would know each other. So true story. At the time, I wasn't a subway artist. I was a bus artist. I was a tagger. So you would get up on the buses and you see each other's names on the buses. You figure out who is from where. But the bus goes from one part to one part to one part to one part. So you would see different people. So what you would do is after school, you get your markers and you write on the back window of the bus. And that was the thing you did. Piecing, big pieces and stuff, you wouldn't really see those, just tagging. But there was one particular dude that wrote his name on the bus. He was on every bus. Now you got to think. You got a window of about, let's say, what time let's say you get out of 9th period at around about 2:45, you got a 4 o'clock window before your mom was looking for your ass. So you got that much time to write on the bus, right? So we're trying to figure out how does this one dude got his name on every damn bus? And it was called Car. Maybe he was Car. It's like Car's an asshole. He on every bus. What the fuck? So one day, the shit came out that it was a group. Toxic Car, Madness Car, Scares Car, Vandal Car. You missing 5 motherfuckers writing the same name? Oh, y'all are some bullshit. So that's how that went. So the first time I went to the trains, it was Warp that took me to the yards. Secret introduced me to Warp, and I met Paint. Now, Anybody in this documentary that don't mention Paint One, they're crazy. This was the ultimate Southside get up writer, and he lived up north. That's how I ended up being a North Side writer. I'm a South Sider, but I ended up being on the North Side. And before there was an East Coast West Coast war, there was a South Side North Side graffiti battle, and we started it. So here we are crossing out the South Siders, and we're from the South Side. We live up north, so that whole experience with that, like I said, it to the point of we didn't know it was going to get this big, guys. We thought it was going to stop at 16. We didn't know that nobody like Common was coming way back. We didn't know that part. Now, of course, Doug, Imp, Julius, Tally, and West, and all those guys on 7 Night to Halsted, they was breaking in the folks and Stone neighborhood. So it was a submarine. So, we were going down there and break against them on 79th. And if you was not good or Ada Park, we didn't go to Ada Park because you get chased back. You know what I mean? So you weren't good at what you did, or you had a phone number. Folks them outside with their hats broke off, or the Stones outside. I don't care how good you are dancing, where you from. And if they had a problem with somebody that was on your block, you're going to take the ass for that. That's the city I'm from. So that whole thing, and then, like I said, it was only a handful of people that considered themselves hip-hop outside of, it just, when I look at it now, people be like, I'm hip-hop. Oh, no, because it's convenient to be hip-hop now. It's almost like, being a Cubs fan right now. They finally fucking won. I can go get a Cubs hat tomorrow. It's cool to be that now, but be that shit for 100 years before this. It wasn't cool to be hip-hop back then. And I remember all of the key players. I remember all of them. I mean, as though as if it was yesterday. And it's just certain ones that just need credit. Not necessarily me, because I did so much. And it's not about me in this. It's about me giving you guys that one part of this documentary that, not saying no one's lying. I'm just saying that some people look at that thing called fame, and you get further if you tell the story the way it was written. Like when Moses would have came out the mountains with the 10 Commandments and changed a couple things that God told him. Well, if God told you this way, that way, what the fuck you changed around for? You fucked up the whole thing. So I can only give you the way it really went, because I really didn't think that rap was ever going to become something in Chicago. I really didn't. Yeah. I didn't think it was going to be no shit that would get big. You know what I mean?
Well, absolutely. That's what we're trying to do, man, is get as accurate as possible. And, one thing you asked about earlier, you were talking about earlier about people like, I don't think we have anybody making this, as far as interviewing, I don't think we've had anybody that we think is bullshitting yet. Like, sometimes people have a hard time recalling stuff because you're recalling 20 years, 20 plus. I mean,
no, let's be clear. You can try. You'll be invited to get. We'll ask all the questions. You can try to lie, but we got like 190 other folks that are sitting there saying like, that's
yeah,
that's
no,
not
for
how
sure.
that went.
But definitely, like, yeah, I mean, we cross-reference two things and everything, and we make sure we haven't really found any massive discrepancies so far. I'm not saying other people haven't said anything in other sources, but as far as the information we've gotten, a lot of times it's been pretty awesome. But we can always come back to people like Orko and say, hey, we heard this. Is this how it went? And then we cross-reference some certain people, and we kind of do a few references to double-check everything. And, because we want to try to make sure the information is accurate as we can get.
But let me clear this up for you guys. Now here's the thing. Now there was two waves of it. So the new guys that are doing what they're doing, we can't take nothing from them. It's almost like if Dr. J was mad at Jordan. No, we can't be mad at Jordan. Jordan can't be mad at Dr. J. We're proud of what these guys are doing. It's just that the history of Chicago hip hop, it was no more than 50 dedicated guys that would have died for it. Now, if I put a gun in here and tell you to stop rapping or stop mixing, you probably gonna go work at Wendy's. Back then, we was willing to. We had wheels in our pocket. We was going to the yards, and we were not gonna get caught, and that was gonna be the end of it. And we were actually damn just stupid to die at 13. If I'd have died at 15, if I would have died at 13, and I realized I was gonna do that now, I'd go back and kick my own ass, because that's how dedicated. It it was almost senseless because we were that serious about something that grown folks thought was silly, but we were that committed. Like we was that committed about being successful now, we'd be billionaires. We lost our commitment around about 21 when it played out, but we were really, really, really focused. And then to see like a lot of the people that I thought was gonna be megastars, by the time, like, let's say you're really quick or you're good at something, right? And we know you're good, but you done did the shit so much that by the time that you get to Broadway, you can't do that move as fresh as you did it when you first made it up. So a lot of people, their morale burnt out. You know what I mean? It's a lot of guys that, like, to tell you the truth, man, I really wish you guys could just go like find a way to interview Warp, because he has so much. He was like our version of JJ and shit, like the Cyrus and shit. He was the guy. You know what I mean? Not to interview him, there would be no Ork if there was no Warp. Because listen, let me explain. First of all, let me explain to you why I'm a factor in this whole thing. I'm not a factor because I got style or some shit. I got style now because I got some money to buy some clothes. But the only reason I was a factor in graffiti is because I was the only black, along with Sick Nick, to make it on the Northside crew. And when I made it on that Northside crew, that was cool, but it was the way I got on that Northside crew. It was the concept that when the green and white trains was out, and back then, the only people that had a whole in the end running was a dude by the name of Crazy Man that ran the train line, which was the Inglewood line. And he just would do like our man Flint drawings and shit. Crazy Man, oh, I eat one too. He was the king, but the shit he said was silly, and he had no good style about his letters, so we didn't trip. But he was on every car. So him, and then there was Warp, and then that was that whole soulful thing. Because, like I said, if you were hip hop back then, and if you wasn't Puerto Rican or mixed with Puerto Rican or Spanish or white that had footwork, you didn't fuck with that. That wasn't nothing you went to go fuck with, because you had to figure your way into that. So when I got to a point where we had a friend by the name of Bill Finley at Sheldon's, and first of all, to get all the writers together was like a hard thing for Warp to fathom, because he didn't really get along with a lot of those guys. That just wasn't his shit to do. And I said, I could go get them. He said, you can go get everybody. So I called Bill Finley. Bill Finley gave me Trix's number. From Trix's number, I told Trixter. Trixter told Slang. Slang told then ABC told CTA. And all these crews got together. And the first meeting, it was like, the first meeting was like everybody was groupies, yo. Like, shit. Everybody kept passing around black books because you couldn't believe you met everybody. And then that's when Slang opened up his black book. You ain't writing Slang book. Slang had like a fucking, Slang book was like the Bible and shit. Like, God damn, this book is too nice. Put it up. So shit, everybody met each other. And then after that, everybody knew each other. You know what I mean? Because everybody was really, we didn't know each other. So that first meeting in '85 at the Olivet was the beginning of Chicago hip hop, period. And if you really nail it down, when I thought about doing this interview, I had to really think about the fact that not bragging, because it's not about bragging. I was probably one of three at the time. I was the only all-city writer. In 1988, I became Chicago's first all-city writer, which means I lived on 43rd and Cicero. That's the Southwest side. I lived on 85th and Sangamon. That's the South side. In the Hunters with Cazelli. I went over there with Trickster, which is the west side. I hung out with Slangman, which is Wicker Park. I lived with Painting, which is up north. And then the South side dissed me, yo. They was like, yo, what you think you better than us? You don't come back to the South side? So I did a piece called Wish Upon a Star. And Wish Upon a Star was a gift to Artistic and Basic, who started an organization called Shy Rock. Shy Rock came after the Feds. The Feds was the first collaborative crew. It was the first Dream Team crew, period. Other than that, everybody operated. So when I did the Wish Upon a Star, I became an all-city writer, so I know about everybody's neighborhood. I really didn't know at the time I did Wish Upon a Star that Common lived down the street. I didn't know these things because we didn't take a Chicago rapper serious at that point. So like I said, for you guys to do this is cool because, you know, like I tell you where this is gonna go. I can almost predict this, like Nostradamus. Remember when Upski did Bomb in the Suburbs? Mm-hmm. The book? Okay.
Absolutely.
no one bought that book before Tupac said his favorite book was Bomb in the Suburbs. And everybody went and bought that book because Tupac read it. Because he read about Chicago's hip hop culture, and that book was based around that. So this documentary, you don't know who's going to pick this up and find out where Common came from. Where, a lot of you guys know Doug Infinite, and Doug got like 9 jobs, y'all. He got like 9 things to do. I don't know what he does. And that's my mellow, that's my roadie. I just don't know what he does full time. He can do everything. So he didn't stick to one thing long enough to say that was what he do. You know what I mean? And I got a real personal friendship with him. You know what I mean? So when you get off into what you guys are doing, it tells everybody's true story about who was behind the scenes.
Yes,
who was this? Who that? Like I was there when 5-5 Freddy signed Crucial Conflict. And I thought it was cool because they were like, yeah, 5-5 Freddy. And I was like, y'all haven't seen Wild Style? Nah, what's that? Oh, really? Okay, well, all right. You haven't seen Wild Style? You know who 5-5 Freddy is? You know what I mean? So the thing is, and this is something my oldest kid really made me want to do this because he said something to me that was really, it was cool, but it was also like a diss. He's like, yo, Dad, I heard you do these really cool paintings and wear these nice suits, and then I found out you write graffiti and you paint trains. That's like really, really cool, Dad. Well, damn, what I was doing that was cool. So my son called me on the carpet about that. But getting back to you guys, man. Not because you got me on film. It's like really important that you do this because a lot of the guys, they really like miss each other and shit. Like, you start popping up at more funerals and more funerals. You're like nobody got that on tape. I mean, like this is our history. It's not New York. This is ours, and this tells how even though we're influenced by New York, we have our own style because we got all the records. Cadillac Records is here, so we have a lot of the records and the LPs, so we can sample better. And that's why, Kanye can go and produce all those groups in New York because we have more records than those guys because we got like 1 million soul jazz record stores here. So a lot of that took place that way. I can talk about the graph thing. The only good thing about me being on here is I can talk about the whole board. Like, okay, like the coolest thing, right? Everybody keeps saying Jesse De La Pena, and Jesse's my dude, right? And I was like, okay, the elbow room, Jesse De La Pena, yeah. I can't get past the small crew. Now let me give you a little background about the small crew. The small crew, the Three Masters of Graffiti, right? Let me tell you about this crew. They made it on a TV show called Mac and Jack. It was like a nighttime TV show that come on like once a week, and fucked around and they got on this show, and they were Southside celebrities. So we graffiti writers, we want they tag on our piece. We got that, damn, they made it on TV. That's dope, right? Now, let me tell you the guys that came out of this crew. One of the younger members is a world-renowned painter by the name of Design. And then Jesse becomes Jesse De La Pena. So now you can get in the Buddha Lounge because you hip-hop and Jesse's your boy. So Jesse got this club where you could date a black dude like me can go in and get a Mediterranean girlfriend. Jesse, what the But it was cool because he mixed all this shit up, and it was cool because even though I was listening to Busta Rhymes, you just hear some other shit. You hear like, Jesse had mixed all that shit in, so I got to big up to you, Jesse. I got a bunch of mixed girlfriends because of you. I love that shit. But then you get like this one thing that was bugged out, right? Like they got this dude on their crew named Havoc and shit, like, right? And true story, they brought out some shit that blew my mind, right? They just ended up at the right place. Their whole crew ended up at the right place, right? There was a game that turned into a movie, man, called Mortal Kombat. That's Jesse's and them boys. That's Havoc. That's all small shit. So I like these motherfuckers born with a silver spoon in their back pocket and shit. They always end up at the right place. So that was like, hold on. Hello?
That's Jesse calling him.
I'll call you back. Anyway, but they interrupted this shit. But it's so this is cool. You know what I mean? And the crazy part about this interview, right? You got to find humor in it before you fuck around and tear up because some of the guys are not here. Like some of my main guys are dead, and you can't find paint. There's so many people you just want to just go eat some pizza or hot dogs and shit with it. You know what I mean? Like as far as the graph thing goes, I know the whole demo from the time I stepped into it because I was committed to it. And I know the whole Wicker Park scene. The whole Wicker Park scene got really big with graffiti because everybody wanted to know where Slang lived. And that white building on Ashland in Milwaukee and Division, no, you know that white building over there. It looks like a project building. Well, there was a hot dog place across the street from Slang's house. You could get for $1 and shit, you can get like a hot dog, a pop, and a bag of chips. And fucked around, and we found out about that shit. You could sneak in the tunnels and come out on Division and go get the hot dogs. Everybody thought we was over there for the hot dogs because that's what we told people. Nobody told nobody that Slang lived in that motherfucking building right there. So Slang was like the original Wicker Park motherfucker. We was over there because of that. Because you get beat up by the Latin Kings down the street or the same disciples. No one went over there. You know what I mean? So that whole Wicker Park thing, for it to be Wicker Park, I was like, oh, that's Humble Park, basically. But, you know, that whole area became the mecca for hip hop. And then the North Side had their branch. And then you just had so much. I got really excited when the South Side got their own thing. I just didn't understand why Hyde Park kicked in because HBK was one thing, but that was just a radio station. No one hung outside of HBK. It was like you go downstairs, you see a bunch of B-boys outside of HBK. You went in, you got the fuck out because they had the college police. So a lot of that stuff, man. Huh?
When Kingdom Rock started, the Blue Gargoyle, a lot of big parties. Hyde Park with.
When did that happen?
You know, I don't know exactly what year he started that, but it was. Well, this was in the 80s though. This was later. This was, I would say, this was probably like early 90s. You know, because it was right in the era where Twista, when Twista was still kind of cavalier. So that's when everything was popping off with the Gargoyle. I'm sure someone can bump on here and tell us when what the exact time frame years were.
Remember, at that time I was doing jackets for Tupac. Now I was in California.
Yeah, no, yeah, you were in Cali by then. Yeah, it's true.
Cali. So you know, like I said, there's a lot of things that you know. But the thing about Ork is this: wherever I went, I tell them about Chicago. Like if I leave Chicago tomorrow and somebody start talking about hip hop, I'm gonna tell them log on to y'all website. But you know, I'll promote that shit like it's the freshest thing ever. You know what I mean? If somebody diss it, then we got a street fight. You know what I mean? I'm so Chicago. Midway the shit. You know what I mean? Hey, Midway, you know, what are you talking about?
Let me ask you, Ork, because one person we were talking about, unfortunately, you know, people are getting older and some people have passed away, and we're gonna do a memoriam for people that we can't interview, and we're gonna, you know, have something for those people. Because there's many graffiti artists, there's rappers and DJs and people that have passed recently. One that's particularly sad for me was Heck, because we were going back and forth, you know, in messaging about getting his interview done, and then just like that, he was taken away, literally within days from his last message from me. And not being able to interview him was a massive blow, I think. Well, for us, it was extremely disappointing. It was terrible for us, but I think it's terrible for Chicago, for them not to get to hear his story firsthand. But can you talk a little bit on Heck, because you know he's such an important part of the community, hip hop period, not just rap.
Well, let me explain to you before it got to where the city really understood Marty. Between Howard and Sheridan, that stretch between the Howard Yards and Wilson, there was a group of us, the Mosa crew, OTR crew, Skid and Epoch, Dopes and Jerk, all of us hung together, you know, Heckle. We all hung together. We stole together. We went to the movies together. We were all just together a whole fucking lot before the city really took on who y'all call Big Heckle. And that whole X-Men thing became that big. It was just him on X-Men. That's not a Chicago crew. That's a New York crew. It was just him. It wasn't all of these people now. So when you look at like a Heckle, you know, you got to go into like, in order for you to talk about Heckle, you got to talk about Really Real and Ange 13.
Yeah.
These were the epitome of a group of us that were Northside writers, right? Like a lot of y'all look at Ange as a rapper. I still can't fathom her being an MC because she was getting up just like us. Ange was wherever Ange had her cans and marker with us. So Ange 13, she's a rapper. Okay, I'll buy into that, but I like the other Ange, but that's my girl. She's dope. Okay, she got flow out. But where the marker at? You know what I mean? So a funeral happened for Really Real, right? And this is how real Heckle is. A funeral happened for a friend of ours called Really Real. Y'all call him Kev. And we went to the funeral, and this is a true story. And everybody's kind of teared up. You know, graffiti writers, some motherfucker tough. They just got like, you know, you shake everybody's hand and get like this strong ass handshake because they don't want to break and shit. No, this is our nigga. What you talking about? You feel like cry, goddammit. Feel like yell. Niggas just too strong and she just talking about something. Fuck is that? Stupid ass shit is that? This shit sad. So I was sitting there, right? And I heard all this sad shit about Really Real in our teenage years. So his mom is sitting there, his family sitting there, and they saying some real, like, whatever they were saying, they just, like somebody was scared to tell the truth. They was trying to find the reason he died. He wasn't supposed to be on the streets. He wasn't supposed to do that. And the way he came up, hold on, man, give me a minute. They say anybody's supposed to speak? I think I'll go up there. I said, listen, man, the dude in that box, y'all call him, Kevin, his name is Really Real, and we was fresh, goddamn. We had the baddest chicks, we had all the latest clothes, we stole all the clothes, we stole the food out of our head, we had a damn ball. Why the fuck y'all pick someone we had fun? Me and that man, we had plenty fun, right? So I said, Really Real, our motto is keep it fresh. So goodbye, brother, I'm gonna keep it fresh. So right after that, we went to a bar. And Heck was like, "Oh, I'm glad you told the truth because, you know, Marty wasn't going to get up there and say too much. He was choked up about the shit." So after that, I talked to Heck at the bar, right? And I said, "Heck, you think I should join X-Men?" He said, "Oh, you should have been on X-Men," which is really kind of clumsy because ABC, NPC, and TCP is the feds and TCP is X-Men. So I was already affiliated with X-Men anyway. So why would you write something else when you're already a part of the feds? But I miss Marty for so many different reasons, man, because we would get raided, right? Because we remember we're taggers. Marty didn't used to do a whole lot of pieces. So I would have to take the paint from him and run before the cops came up the damn stairs so they wouldn't get him. And man, we ran one day and I think they slid down the pole. The police car was right there. So it was a lot of that going on every day between Howard and not really necessarily Howard, between Granville and Wilson, Granville and Lawrence. We hung right in between those stations. So he was the epitome of the North Side, and then when the whole subculture and the whole hip hop culture got a hold of him, he was already who he is supposed to be. He was so smooth, he would put out wars. He hated to get in the middle of shit. It was always some shit. It was almost when he talked to him, like, "Heck, what happened, man?" Or God. I mean, it was almost like, you know, if his health didn't take him out, the stress would have took him out because he was always hearing the shit that he had no business being involved in and shit. Like 3 o'clock in the morning, Heck gets a phone call or some shit he ain't got nothing to do with. So I think that was not only was a great loss for Chicago hip hop, it was a great loss because you couldn't always go and kick it with Heck. He didn't judge nothing. You smoke weed, you drink, whatever the fuck you did, you was cool with him. Matter of fact, I don't think nobody. I'm trying to figure out who pissed him off. I can't remember nobody that he really got pissed off at. He was just real cool the whole movie. You know what I mean? And that's just, you know. But I got so many personal memories with the guy before X-Men got big, and I was like, and then when it happened, they said Marty is dead. But that goes back to what I said earlier when they had to throw a fundraiser at the promontory to raise money for him. Then I started looking at my career. We're gonna go back into art and graffiti, and we're gonna really mark that date as the date that I decided to stay here and not move back to San Francisco after my mom passed. I said I can stay here because if I become some type of figure of some sort where they start paying me a whole lot of money, like if I do some Kanye shit or some Puffy shit, it would be stupid for me not to be able to pay for the next tragedy. Hopefully I don't have to be here for it. But I just thought that I took that personal. I mean, certain things you take personal. Like, man, we're supposed to, you know, like the next person we're supposed to send out in style. You know what I mean? So I said I would stay here. I mean, you know, you get and this is something else too. I want to touch on this, and I made an accident, fellas, by coming back and trying to be Ork. You know what I mean? And sometimes you could come back. You know, like when Jordan came back, like when Ali came back, when these guys came back, I almost made that mistake of coming back. Now, I'll give the credit to Zor. Zor brought me back at the Joby Center and threw me like 10 cans and I painted on plastic. Then he brought me out to the wall and I was still Ork. But I knew that wasn't something I was about to invest my time into because it was the young guys' turn. And I didn't want to get out there and it gets bad and it gets bad. And I'm not in love with her no more, basically. I'm married to her, but I'm not in love with her no more. So I'm not going to show up with a chick that I grew up with and just diss her in front of the crowd that really loves her. So I really almost fell into that. But the young guys, like, we don't have a problem with the young guys are doing. I'm proud of the young guys. I don't think I don't see the pieces. Like I said to you guys, I got a lunch bag here. You know, I'm still Ork. But, you know, I'm proud of those guys. I'm really proud of Static, Max, the young guys, Hebrew and all those. I'm proud of those guys that are still getting up because the South Side didn't have a name. So when I see them, it's kind of like a personal thing to me, like, damn, y'all getting up. I mean, I don't know how many trains they would have had running if they know how to bomb. I don't know them for that. Well, just to see them brothers, and if I attribute anything to their career, you know, right now graffiti is such a competitive ego sport that no one would ever tell you, yo, man, if it wasn't for this person, I wouldn't be this person, because that's like the wrong shit. Saying Chicago, like Chicago don't give you no props. Like we wouldn't even give fucking Jordan props and shit. Like, no, you know, if he didn't jump over everybody.
I think just the world in general is that way. Like everyone is just after their own, and no one gives props to the people that led you to where you wanted to be.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
That's not just Chicago. That's everywhere.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'll give you guys props. Here's my cup of coffee. I'll give you guys props for this shit. Cause this shit tough. It's like the toughest thing I've had to do. It's like you go into court. You know you're going to jail, and you got to get up there and tell people why you're going to jail. That's why I approach the interview like, damn, I'm going to go to jail, because you want to be careful with your wording, because you do not want, like if somebody cross out my name tomorrow because this interview, I'd be sick because, hey, yo, Ork is cool, shit. Ork is still Ork, you know what I mean? Hey, you know, right. But when that life thing kicks in, you know, it's going to be hard to be Ork tomorrow when you got death or when you got heckle shit going on. It's hard to be at 100% or 50% going from a teenager to being an adult. Like right now, check this out, y'all. Hip hop is a little different than graffiti. Like me, y'all asked me something about the art world, right? In the art world, you have to be a certain age to be respected, to tell a story, to sell a $10,000 painting. You could be like a Basquiat, and it just happens to you because you hang out with Andy Warhol, and that was a 1 in a million shot. That will never happen in this lifetime again. You go and they tell you, well, you're not experienced enough, you haven't lived life enough, and you find yourself being around 42, 40. You're in your 40s, right? And the art will tell you you're a young chump, wait till you develop. But as a grown man, you 40-something with kids. So you walk around this motherfucker like, are you absolutely out of your motherfucking mind? And your friends have got their life established, they got their wife. You still out here trying to be some type of fine artist. But with me, man, ever since that I wanted to break the doors down for the next graffiti artist. I wanted to take care of their family, because we're struggling as a graffiti artist in Chicago. I can't name 10 that's popular and successful that can literally stand up and you know their name and you can say that they did it. I mean, we just getting by, and if not, they hiding out, or there's nobody that's going to take that stand. And I just took upon myself to take that stand. I've been taking a stand for the city, but I had to bag away from it, because as a graffiti writer, you still got that edge where if somebody dish you, you find yourself in the yards at 45 years old, fucking around with somebody that's 20. Damn well.
Trying to climb up a fence, you gotta twist your ankle.
just even that particular thing. Like the only thing that I forgot to do in Chicago, for real, was I forgot to start my own crew. Like Trickster started TAC, Slang started the Def Crew. I forgot to start a crew, right? My crew ended up being in San Francisco, which is Omen and Nate MPC. So I forgot to start a Chicago crew. So that's the reason why you don't have a lot of information on what it is that I guess I did. But my thing is, I had to ask, like, speaking back on that scheme thing, I literally, gentlemen, had to ask all of my pioneer friends, was it okay with where I took graffiti? Now, you got to understand, graffiti artists diss me. They're like, fuck Midway, fuck the ideals, what work at? Well, he at the crib chilling with that red shit on. Can't bring him out today, you know what I mean? Like, dude got that toy, you know, he's in the closet at dude's house. But anyway, I had to get permission from my peers about where I took it. Because a lot of those guys, when I talked to Scene and all those guys, they were not rich. You know what I mean? Like Puff and, you know, a lot of those guys are wealthy off of hip hop. The graffiti writers are not, they sold out their masses. So when I went there, man, everybody wanted me to paint with Scene, paint with Case, paint with Stem 153, or even when Scheme came. This true story, man. The man came here. I gave him keys to my crib. We watched a whole series of Billions. We ate chicken, smoked weed, which I didn't smoke weed. I drank some beer, had a couple of cocktails, slang. Anyway, and when it was time for us to get down, we got down, and I worked on this piece where I engineered the piece. He did it, but I engineered it, and it was the only one of its kind. And I was able to talk to him about hip hop, and he told me some things that I didn't know. And I was just listening, like I was just sitting there, motherfucker, like talking to Russell, like talking to Grandmaster Flash. Like, what if Grandmaster Flash came and lived in y'all house? And he just like, yo, and then you got to go to work. I was going to work with Julius and shit, doing drywall and shit. And when I get off work, I go home to Grandmaster Flash. And it was like the coolest thing because Grandmaster Flash on the couch watching movies, and she like, oh yeah, by the way, Scheme's at the house. And so yeah, and we became friends. And I talked to his mom. You know, talking to his mom, I was like talking to the lady on Style Wars, like, oh shit, this is his mom. And she told me a lot about publishing. He told me about a lot about this. And he let me know about execution because his career was not that long. He did those trains in a certain amount of time and he jetted out. When he came here, he broke the shit down. But he was excited about where I took graffiti because this is nothing but a very polished version of graffiti, what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
This has no matter if I have this shit I'm doing is wrong. Like the piece behind me, you can automatically see it. That's got graffiti all over it, you know. So like when Jay-Z started putting on those suits and you know started calling himself Sean Carter, and when Will Smith started calling Will Smith and Latifah started doing, you know, L'Oreal commercials and shit. You know, I did that to graffiti. So if somebody says "fuck you" or "you ain't real," well, Latifah ain't real. Will Smith ain't real. You know, Jay-Z's not real. You know, these people are not real, but we had to break the barriers in order for people to look at it. So if I get any bigger than I could possibly be, I ain't gonna say when, then it will be because of you guys in Chicago hip hop. They can open up some more doors, but it takes a minute because it's such a, you know, I got the same job y'all got, but I'm doing it all by myself. So I understand you guys' position. I just have to interview everybody. I have to interview myself in the morning to figure out why I want to still do this. You know what I mean? Because it's tough because, you know, I'm still doing that whole graffiti art thing. I still have to push that envelope. And then, you know, like I want to go back out to California. I love it. I love the Bay Area. The Bay Area is my second home. Like that's my shit. But right now, for me to go back out there and see Omen and Nate and all those guys, and, you know, to have dinner with Doug and Doug, my boy Doug M for one, but Doug from TMF, you know, I want to just go sit with those guys and say, man, look where I took it. So when you look back at, you know, this interview, it would, you guys have made it to where they want to look at this interview and say, Ork sold out. He ain't real no more. Like, fuck that. Ork is real as shit. I just, you know, I just don't think at 47 years old, being Ork right now, really a thing to do because you got somebody younger than me that wants that position. I don't have that position. You know what I mean? Because then I can open up more doors. But look, don't think I don't see pieces. I walk around, you know, if I see a piece right now, you know, like dude Rakim say, feed me hip hop, and you know, like Gremlin, feed me hip hop, and I start trembling. I listen, you know, that it's still dope to me. And when it stopped being dope to me, then it's a problem with me. You know what I mean? I'm still, you know, that dude. So when y'all did this, man, and I watched the interviews, y'all got so many interviews that some of the guys that have come along way after me, I look at them like, yeah, I remember he got his record deal. How's he doing now, though? You know, like true story. Like me and George from George's music room was real cool. So for George to be on here is like the coolest shit because me and George is like super cool. How the damn George made the shit? He's like, yeah, they can't interview me. You know what I mean? You know, George is very, very theatrical.
Yeah.
I practiced. And I'm on it. You know, I went from doing T-shirts, doing a T-shirt for him, and doing a portrait of him to being on a documentary with him. When then that's like, you know, to be on there with Twilight.
That's cool. That just sounds cool.
Right.
You know, I just think that, you know, for all the people that's tuning in and shit, you know, I really would love to hang out with you guys, but this art thing requires so much of my attention because, you know, that is a different business. You know, that business is, you know, hopefully I can write a blueprint so that you know how to deal with the galleries, because the gallery world is GTFM, get the fucking money. So if you walk into the gallery world and you don't understand about that world, you will be in serious trouble, because it's not about doing one badass piece you do on a subway car and going to a gallery. What if that one sells? Or what if you don't know how to structure it? Like the music business is different, because let's say Common made one record, and then you press that record that goes down time to the world. You gotta do that shit like no more. Like I think the best way to put it is Tila Rock, It's Yours. We don't know shit else he made, but that It's Yours, it's not like that with dealing with galleries. You got to be consistent, and you got to keep it moving. You know, it's a whole nother world, and you have to understand that.
I was gonna say I couldn't imagine, like, if you have a piece and you do this great piece and it sells, right? And then they're like, yeah, so we need 4 more because people are gonna want this, and you're like, how the hell do I get 4 more that quick?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. You know, you got to be careful when you walk out on stage. I'll share this with you, and then after that, I won't crack no more jokes. Okay? I was popular for pop locking in 8th grade, right? I was a popular dude in 8th grade, right? So, you know, all the girls knew me. I had the cute cheerleader girlfriend, whatever the case may be, right? So I was an 8th grader, but there was a cute girl that was a junior at Simeon. And if you're from the South Side, and you knew a girl at Simeon that was junior, I didn't know where Simeon was. This around time before Ben Wilson got killed. So on the block, if you was popular, you know, you hung with the cool guys. So she walked past and somebody said, man, yo, what you think about her? I said, she all right, you know, being on some arrogant shit. So she turned around and wrote her number down and gave it to me. So to get a girl like that number, you was really the man in school the next day. Well, I went on her porch, so I was still on her porch. And at this time, y'all, this is some tripped out shit. At this time, the only thing you would do if you went over a girl house, you grind. Everybody know what it is. Y'all was in 7th to 8th grade. Don't bullshit. Anybody watching? If you grind, you got a little kiss, and you felt some titties, you was like the man at school, right? So I thought that was gonna be the activity, right? So you know, I started off with that. So I had to go use the bathroom at her house, right? Because her mom was out of town. Yo, I came back, right? And when I turned, she was in her room with a robe fully nothing on under. Like, yo, come on. What the fuck am I gonna do with that? Because I didn't know nothing about that part. so look, I'll say that to say, don't go into any situation unprepared, because that shit can be just that big.
I like how that worked. Roundabout.
One piece.
I was like, where is the lesson in this? Now you're just bragging.
No. That's, you know, you can walk in there like that. You gotta have your shit prepared, man. You know, but I gotta give this to. There was a story, man, and we gotta put this out there, because without this, I wouldn't be real. There was the first graffiti show. It was at the Act Street Arena Gallery. It was in '86. This was the first real big graffiti show. So everybody came with their best shit. Me and Sick did an abstract piece, and it said, I forgot to say art wars, whatever it said. Well, everybody had their shit. Tricks had his shit. Slang had his shit, right? And the only reason I was the only one that sold the piece at that show, Fesky did this big ass piece, right? And put a train on there, right? And the dude was gonna buy it for like, I sold my piece for like $100 or some dollars, right? Fesky shit was like $400. That was like a lot of money at the time, right? And it was sold, I think. Yeah, I think it was sold. Well, he made a fatal mistake, man. He forgot to put Crazy Man name on the train. And remember, Crazy Man is the king of the motherfucking Inglewood line. The Crazy Man pulls out his motherfucking pilot marker and writes his name on the man train.
Wow.
And the dude didn't buy the piece. Oh shit. So it was really Fesky that sold the first piece, but he didn't do his homework with Crazy Man up on that train. That's how ill graffiti writers are. You better put them up, man. Don't lie. You know, don't do this. You know, graffiti, like I had to get permission from graffiti to be this cat I am now. And I'm still asking, like, are y'all cool with this? No. I fucking shit.
I don't want to do it anyway.
They don't want to have anything. This, hey, guess what? Hey, this interview is like therapy for me and shit. Because they be like, okay, stay over there. Like they look at me with the scarf and shit on, and watches and shit. And no, shit. What the fuck me? I got kids. I got a fucking art dealer. I gotta do that. You know what I mean? Can I grow up? No, you just be that. Chicago got a weird way. You still be in the disciples. You still want you to be folks and a stone. Yeah, nigga, I just grow up? No, nigga, you still folks. So that they still.
That's real.
It was cool. It's cool. I'm just glad that I was able to change names and travel, and I'm glad I'm home, man, because I'm home and y'all did this right. And my son and my friends gonna crack up that know me now because they have no idea that I'm this other dude. Like, yo, you really was there? I told you I was there. The fuck did you talking about? You don't take no fucking. Hey,
you had just come home because I ran into you. If you remember, I ran into you at Betty's.
Actually, I've been home about 4 years. I got here when Barack got in office, and
okay.
I had to compete with that shit. But Betty's is when I decided. Remember when I told you I was trying to be Orko and I disappeared? Well, I disappeared on purpose because it was so many damn graffiti writers and so much. Who's the shit now? Who's the shit here? You drink a beer with this motherfucker today. You talking about your mom and you tomorrow. It was so much like, man, I thought you was cool, man. Yeah, and everybody just sneak dissing each other. You know what I mean? When you come home and you got one that's dying and you got bullshit, life gonna treat you a little bad. I guess they thought I was supposed to come home with a motherfucking yacht and a goddamn a Yorkie and keys to a motherfucking Yorkie.
A yacht and a Yorkie.
That's the definitive.
That's how I know I made it when I got.
I made it, kid. Man, yeah, you know what I mean. I just got my first check. I'm going out to get my Yorkie today. I'm going
right. You just want to be like, yo, you know what I mean? But life kicks in when you come home. When you come home to Chicago, man, and you see that much shit that's fucked up in the streets and your friends, man, you're gonna have to do something. You come home and then your ex-girlfriend from grammar school died on you and shit. Then your friend went to jail, and then the whole shit. Matter of fact, the only thing that's a little bit better than what you guys are doing, okay, and it's not like a diss because you guys can't diss me for this because this is true. The only thing better than what you guys are doing right now, trust me, it's gonna be hard to beat this shit, yo. Guess what it is? Good Times.
Mess around with that girl that you knew in high school.
The TV show Good Times.
Good Times.
Yes.
That is Chicago history.
That's Chicago, yep.
So y'all are like the new version of Good Times and shit. Because you can tell the real story and shit. Like this dude, the only thing this dude wanted to do was get a job and move his family out of Cabrini, and the shit just never happened. So Chicago, that's just Chicago. So that is the basic what you guys doing. But you guys man, I can't say enough, man.
Thank you.
I know after this they're gonna be like, you want to do a book? No, I want to talk about this shit no more. I did it anyway. Shit, I gotta do this again. Man, there's so many things. I've missed. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say the biggest thing I think I can speak for all of us. The biggest thing that I want out of this, that I want most out of this, is for you guys, the pioneers, and even the people today, just the people that are a part of the scene, look at it and be like, that's dope. And as people know, we can't get everybody. There's going to be several. There's tons. There's a tons of parts of this project, and it's expansive as it's part of the archives and other parts and other ways we're using some of the footage and everything. But we can't have, obviously, everybody's not necessarily not. It can't fit everybody into an hour and a half. We don't know who or what yet, but I still think that everyone will look at it and feel like, wow, okay, I'm proud of the city. I'm proud of what all of us as a whole did, the hip hop community.
And that's what's really cool about what we're doing, now that we're tooting our own horn, is that, yeah, we have all these interviews done, and we have all these personalities and all these different views to tell the story. But it's not like we're going to take all that footage and throw it away.
Oh God, no!
That's why the relationship with Columbia is such an important one, is because it's not. I mean, we have an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how long it's going to be. We have that long to play with for the final cut. but it's going to be, it's basically a 2-hour commercial for what we're doing with all these archive
projects. Yeah, I mean, everybody's interviews, like, even though only pieces of it and parts of it are going to be in the film for everybody to make up a whole story, everybody's interviews are going to be available to people, and we're going to have and do all these different things with all this other footage. So anybody that's interviewed as part of Midway, whether you're in the final cut of just the first part, which is the film, you're still, it's the whole Midway project. So Midway, everyone's going to be seen, everyone's story is going to be told through the archives and through whether it's the website or, you know, we've talked about doing a much larger version, series type version of the film, which I would like to see happen. And it all depends on how well everything comes about with what we're doing.
You know what? Check this out. It's funny that you guys are doing it. See, like I said to you before, when you know what's real and what's right, you can raise your voice about it. There's a graffiti legend that's here. The first graffiti project that was done at Columbia was done by a dude by the name of Parker Williams. And it was done on Me and Trickster. And it was done on graffiti art. He did it in '88. Now, this project landed him a job with Harpo. Because if you look up in the archive of '88 at Columbia, Parker Williams did his final on graffiti. And they kind of had like some classical music, and they were showing the museum and everything, and then it was a scratch, like, hold it now, that's played out, hit it. And then they play like a PE record, and they start showing the L's run past, they did an interview with Me and Trickster, you know what I mean? Peely did that. So you can't leave that out, and then you can't leave out one of the masterminds who's like a silent chef. Like if you need like a gumbo or some shit, you need some shit put together, somebody that's like smooth as hell. It's a gentleman by the name of Robert. Defsky put together the feds. There was he put together the Federation.
Yeah.
Now let me break this down to you guys. The Federation was 15 people, right? Now on this tape, I gotta let people know the feds is only 3 people because the year was coming into 2000, and we all had this stupid ass idea that in 1999. The world was gonna end, or like let's say it's 1999 right now, and then by the time we wake up tomorrow, I'm talking about not necessarily the print song, just set the date. Let's say it's 1999, and we wake up tomorrow, and we gotta do everything different. Like the styles change, the music changed. It's just one motherfucking day. So everybody like, you ain't gonna make it to the next album, and in Y2K, the year 2000, like Lee did the wall 1999, and everybody's you know. Like we're going to like the future. No, we're going to one more motherfucking day. What the fuck is y'all doing? Anyway, so Trickster came up with the air, you know, because you stop calling it hip hop or graffiti or bomb, you start calling it aerosol. Spray paint stopped being Krylon or spray paint. It started becoming aerosol. And what the fuck that mean? So Trickster came up with this theory because Trickster like a genius and shit. Like he'll just study why a rock is important. And what is just a fucking rock right there on the curve? We got to pick it up. No, leave it right there. That's Trickster. So he came up with something called the aerosolic age, right? And he was like, in the aerosolic age, like we were going to like some new age and shit. And I'm like, are we gonna still look the same tricks? We're going to the aerosolic age. So check this out. So in the aerosolic age, he broke down the word age, right? Age is 3 letters, man. AGE. Animated, which is slang, because slang is the character guy. He's dope with characters, even though he got mad style with letters. Trickster's gothic because he's the best at letters. And Ork does the background, so that's element. Animated, gothic, element. Age, that's the feds, forever developing style. So it's only 3 actual members of that crew. The Federation is every motherfucking body that was hanging out with us, or those 15 members. So just to clear that up, because I be hearing people say, yo, I'm the feds. Well, which one of us are you? Did you take over my part? Did you fill in this shit? Is this a play? Is this like a play or some shit? So, you know what I mean? That's that part. But you gotta give Defsky his, you know, I mean, so many people that you really just wanna give their props to it. And then you gotta give your props to artistic and you those guys.
Basic crew.
You gotta give it to them, man. JVC, Artistic, and them for starting Shyrock. Because I remember Artistic brought it to my attention. He said, Shyrock, what is that? It's a Southside crew. So we all gonna collaborate. I don't want to do that shit again. We just did the Federation. You know what I mean? Now, back then, it'd have been kind of like me joining X-Men at the time, like Shyrock, another group. You know what I mean? Those groups are difficult because that's too many people, you know, come on, man. But you know, it got to a point, fellas, where it was like I dissed the South Side. I never dissed the South Side. I just wanted to be the best on the South Side. And I've actually made it to be one of the best. I actually made it to a book called The History of American Graffiti with a pack of markers out of Walgreens my mama gave me. I'm like, damn, Mom, I'm in a book. And she saw it. And I was like, yeah, that's me and 6. I guess we didn't get paid off the damn book. My moms and my friends and them always looking for a check. How much they give me? They gave me a free copy. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's all. You know, I would say to all the cats that's still doing this, that's still. But you know what's good though, man? When you're a likable dude and you real. You know, I had so much fun because I didn't really know him when I was home. Common, but I met him a few times with Doug and you know those guys, and I saw him in Salt Lake City. I'll tell this story then. That's it for talking about Chicago rappers. So he comes to Salt Lake City and the show is packed. So my homie bought me a ticket. You know, one of my homies bought me a ticket and he wasn't black. And I want to know what the fuck you know about Common. What is it? Water for chocolate? What do you know about, you know, Yusuf? You know, one of the what do you know about Common? So he played Electric Circus, and I hadn't heard #1 record off that because of the video. So he played this album, and he would play it every day, but I didn't really trip that was Common. You know, it was Electric, Fire, Raro, and he was one of those type of dudes that ride motorcycles and shit, but he would have Common in the headphones. You know, I said, what? And he played this shit, so I listened to the whole album, like, and I said, damn, they playing this album a lot in Utah. Like some Eminem type shit, right? And when I saw Common, I said, yo, look at this motherfucking crowd. Like it was all white motherfuckers. Like I was the only black motherfucker besides Phil from Phil and Nate that was the sound engineer. And it was all white people in Salt Lake Park City, Utah. Common had a packed show. And it was because that album. So when people started dissing that album, I said, actually, that album is the reason he's acting right now because somebody else listened to that motherfucker and said he's got range. Because I didn't know what he was talking about. Like Kanye can do some shit like that and get away with it. We're not gonna let Common do no shit like that. But Common was the pre-Kanye because he ventured out with Electric Circus. And we, you know, guys like me, all of us on the panel and shit, we're like, nah, Common, come on, man, you can't do this shit. You know what I mean?
No, you're right about that. I mean, he went Kanye before Kanye did with Electric Circus.
But it showed how much range that Chicago has. So if you was like a skinhead on the north side, he had a record for your ass. Reaction, fire!
Wow.
Hey, look, check it out. If you was a house person, you dance off that jazz record. And like you was a pimp and shit, what's the guy still? Green Girl, you have signs and shit out. That's a badass album. This nigga just said that damn thing. And if you like a hustler shit, you play that just put it in your mind and hustle. That was my shit. I would get up in the morning playing that shit. If I felt lazy and shit, I'd play that. The hustle. You know, hey. So when he didn't look at that album as being something that really crossed him over like huge. I mean, I was in Salt Lake City, man. Then motherfucker said he's going to see Common. I thought that Common had stole the name. I remember he got in trouble for writing Common Sense. He got almost sued for the name of Common Sense. And he shorted to Common. I thought the real Common was there. And I was like, damn, I got to go up here and see this white boy. He's going to be like, who the fuck is your boy? And it was actually Rashid on stage. But when we talked, right, he's like, oh, what up, yo? And I showed him I was in the Rob Report and shit. You know, those type of things. I was the first one to do it. The Rob Report, Luxury Living, all that shit. I was the first graffiti writer to ever do some shit like that. But I wasn't thinking about graffiti. I was thinking about feeding myself or, you know, just opening up doors. And I would show the shit to Common. It would fuck him up. Like every time I would see Common like rural ass cities and shit. Like we was in San Francisco, and at this time, and Doug would never tell you this, you know, because Doug is like a motherfucking nurse shark and shit. You know that you don't want to pet a nurse shark and will eat you. He's so smooth.
nurse.
He'll never get mad, right? He'll never get aggravated and shit. He's like super sugar. You know, he's like smooth. Like I got two names. Doug is like a nurse shark, and Heckle like super sugar crisp. You know what I mean? They like smooth. So check this shit out, man. They told Doug that Doug didn't know Kanye, right? And so Doug found out I'm there because Greenweez is down there, and then Greenweez sat down here with my producer, and he doing my album. I said, "Who was your producer?" He said, "Doug." I said, "Doug who?" "Doug Infinite." "Doug from Chicago?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Put the chief on the phone." He said, "Who's that?" I said, "It's Ork." He said, "Where you at?" And I told him I was in Hunters Point, like Bayview. And Doug brought that band over, like, hell no. So they had brought him down there for the DJ Academy shit. We won't go into that part. But Doug was going around the Bay Area, and truth be told, they told him that he did not know Kanye West. And the real people know how that went. And it was so fucked up because I like, you mean the cat that used to be over at your crib? Yeah, that's him. Because I didn't know this dude. I didn't know Kanye. I didn't really get into all that. I knew his mother because of Chicago State University, the logo I did for them, she set it up. But I did not know who Kanye was. So he got the hit record on the radio. And they got to think, if this is somebody you show something to, and they got a hit record on the motherfucking radio, and your name don't pop up in the credits at all, ain't no at the end, I like to say things to, you're saying everything but Doug's name, and then you got to defend that shit. Can you imagine having a child with a chick, and the child is like 13 years old and look just like you? You can't tell them, motherfucker, that's your kid. I'm like, damn, well, you know him. Check this out. We get Common coming to town, right? I just got in from Salt Lake, right? So Doug, like I told you, Doug is that nurse shark. I said, Doug, what up, man? Because we have studios next door to each other. So Doug was like, yo, your boy in town. Who? Raj. Common? Yeah, he gonna perform tonight. What you doing? I said, I'm going and your ass going too. So I go to the party. Hey, look, this is an actual classic Midway moment. This is how real Chicago niggas are with each other. I go to the party, right? You know, Common gets into this thing, so he got a one record, and in the middle he'll show you some hip hop, you know, and he'll do it and let people know he's really a b-boy, right? And he see me and he goes, Chicago hip hop, right? So I'm geeked up. All right, cool. He gave me some love. You know, I'm a fan at this point. And I said, well, yo, I got something for you. So he said, I gotta rock this side of the crowd. So I said, no, I got something for you. So I'm interrupting the show. So now he's like, damn, Ork, what the fuck? Now I turn around and move out the way, and it's Doug. And Common said, what the fuck? So he stops his show. He said, yo, stop. So at this point, I'm waiting for the bouncers to come and throw my ass out, right? Damn, we fucked up a Common show. So he stops the show, and this is the classic Chicago Midway moment. He stops the show and he says, yo, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say something. This is some real shit from my heart, man. I know y'all love Common love the Bay Area too, but yo, what I'm about to tell y'all is real. If it wasn't for this young man right here, man, I wouldn't even have no career, man. Y'all would have never knew about Common, man. You know what I mean? He's done a lot for me, man. Do yourself a favor, put your hands together for my motherfucking man, Doug Infinite, and brought Doug on the stage. And that was the day that the Bay Area knew that Doug was connected to us. Before then, they thought Doug was lying about the whole Chicago thing. And Common did that. So if Common need like some Dunkin' Donuts and shit, I'll go Dunkin' Donuts like right now and catch a plane to LA and bring that nigga some donuts and shit. This is now, you know, like the next week, Doug went down to LA and hung out with Kanye, but it was because of me being from Chicago, telling the Chicago pioneer, that's a producer, we going to see a Chicago rapper, and the Chicago rapper bringing the Chicago producer on stage, and then they're going down to LA to see the Chicago guy that really was a part of the whole clique. So, you know, at that point, Doug came back with the picture with him and Kanye, and I got San Francisco. Was like, oh, okay, now you're telling the truth. And so now, like I said, Doug's a nurse shark. Doug pulls off another move that you can't deny. He goes to work for George Lucas. You can't say he's gonna work for Lucas because he got the Boba Fett shit. But that was like a real. That was some real Chicago shit because we were all from out of town. It was like everybody was lying on each other. And I know you know what I'm talking about because you live up there and shit. Like, ask Doug about that shit. Be like, Ork, tell me what happened with that night. And it was cool because Doug didn't want to go. He just did not want to go. But Common, you know, he's a real Chicago dude. I fuck with him because of that. He's, you know.
Well, Doug was probably doing one of his 9 jobs.
No. Doug wasn't doing shit at that point. Tell him I said that. he wasn't doing this shit. He was just
He's probably watching.
no, he was just
Yeah.
chilling. Like he had nothing to do. I think he was building the hardwood floor in the studio. Like nobody's gonna come out here. What the fuck, man? We going to the show. I don't care what he was doing. We was going. I don't give a fuck. We was in the middle of a shootout. Hey, dude, we gonna shoot at your ass later. We gonna like,
Oh my
can you
god.
imagine? Hey, check this out. Let's just say let's say I see y'all in ISIS or some shit, right? All 4 of y'all are in ISIS and I get a phone call. And I don't go see y'all. What the fuck you mean? I gotta go see them. They here?
Oh my god.
How the fuck you not
On
gonna do
that note, is it time for this or that?
All right.
Uh-oh.
Who's gonna do these?
I've got one. I'll do the first one. So this is just pick one or the other. Spray can or paintbrush.
Spray can shit.
I got one for you. I got one for you. The green line or the green limousine?
The green limousine, the green and white cars. Yeah, that. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking, do you want to would you rather paint on a train or paint on a bus?
No, a train. Fuck that. A train. Fuck that bus.
Even though a train jumped up and hit you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was crazy. And I live, yo. You know what I mean? Like I lived. I actually lived. I got hit by actual
Fuck you, train.
Chicago State, right? Hey, guess what? Trickster them put me on the train and said, folks beat me up. They ain't want to tell because we was a most wanted. Ain't that some shit?
All right, since we're talking about Doug Infinite, I'm gonna name this or that. These are two common songs that were produced by Doug Infinite. Like they used to say, or one too many.
Well, that's kind of, let's see.
Well, I stumped them.
You know, what's funny that you asked me that question because I don't really think I listen to either too much because they got a record called The Bitch in You, right? And on the flip side, Doug was on the flip side with Dion, and I listened to that more than anything he ever did with Common because I couldn't.
There you go. That's one of the greatest records, Chicago records ever.
So I don't know.
Talking about the real weight.
The real way. I didn't know anything else he did with Common. I really didn't pay attention to. I like the real way. Grass don't cry. So I couldn't really.
Fair enough.
I like the other one.
No worries. All right, Sean, do you have one?
North side or south side, bro?
Yo, Sean, you tough. You tough with that one. You know what I'm gonna have to say? I love you people up north, but I'm soft side all the way, baby.
Okay.
I'm soft side. You tell me about 87, Stony Island, Fair Courts, Harold's Chicken. Yo, I'm soft side, baby.
Word up.
Speaking of which, would you rather Harold's Chicken or Bay Area Seafood?
Harold's Chicken, shit.
Making sure. I was just making sure. I was giving you a softball.
You can seafood anywhere. You can't get no Harold's.
Right. Listen, since you said you was rocking the Filas. Now I don't know if you rocked either one of these, but these are two other fly jumpsuits that they rocked in the 80s. Theodora or Troop?
Huh? Theodora what?
Or Troop?
Neither, because they said either, MC Sam said Puma's the brand because the Klan made troops, so I can't see myself wearing that shit.
Okay.
I don't know. I just feel like shit. I'll just go standard Adidas or some shit. That shit. Once I got into Theodora and Troop, that was too much extra shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They got all heavy into the Italian suits and all that.
I mean, whatever. It got too much into Latin King type shit, or it got into game. Too much shit drawn on that. Just give me one little logo.
There you go.
Let's touch on that for a second because that's a topic that no one, unless you're from Chicago, no one understands. Like when I was in high school in the late 80s, and you had to be careful what colors you wore to school because otherwise you get fucked up, and all of a sudden you wake up doing homework in the hospital.
Well, first of all, this is a gang city. This is a territorial city. This is the most segregated city in America. It's still segregated now. Even at this age, you go over there and your ass ain't got no business over there. Hip hop let you go over there. Now that hip hop is like, all right, it came and went. We back gang banging. You know what I mean? It's cool now.
That record's done. You got to go.
It was cool. It's like it's a fad type city, so it was cool if you come over here and mess with us 6 months ago. We back gang banging now. Like a friend of mine told me this when we was out of town. You know, when we out of town, we united. When we gonna gang bang, we get right past 95th. Right. So we drive to Atlanta. When we get back past 95th, we back gang banging. So this is a very color-oriented hat right and left town, and they take that serious because this is still an organized city. It's still organized. You know, it's like we still have structure. That's another reason why a lot of rappers and people didn't make it, because rappers, you tell your neighborhood, well, shit, tell on folks and them and watch what happens. Your ass ain't going. Well, not only we not have a record deal, you ain't have no teeth. Currently going on. So you know what I mean? That whole dynamic right there. Matter of fact, it's one of the things where you just don't want to talk about. I mean, what's up with these gangs in Chicago? No.
Yeah, that's what's. I've lived literally coast to coast, and when you try to explain that situation to folks, like, you can't wear yellow and black together. You can't wear over there on that side. You can't wear red and black over there on that side. People are like, "What the hell did you wear?" I was like, "Rainbows." And
you know who saved the day?
Suits.
Right. Hey, you know who saved the day when all that shit was going down? Guess who saved the day, man? NWA saved the day by that black and gray shit. It was easy to be a gangbanger when NWA came out, because even if you was a folks or a stone, you still had on that Raider shit. You just turned your hat. It was cool. The NWA saved the gangbang days. You ain't have to just be obviously.
That's
and then you didn't say, hey, you guys didn't touch on the not just the colors. You didn't talk about the earring. If you had an earring in the right ear, on the left ear, you just get your mouth busted. You didn't talk about the earring. How
about the Chuck Taylor All Stars? If you flipped them inside, there was one thing. You flipped them outside, there was the other thing.
No, that was some Latin shit. Niggas didn't have no money for no damn Chuck Taylors. Chuck Taylors. We wasn't shoe savvy. Like, those niggas wearing Jordans. Hey, Chuck Taylors. Don't get it wrong, man. Chicago niggas ain't broke, man. Niggas have money. This game bangers with money and shit. They had black and gold on, but it was a real gold, like King Tut. He had no cheap shit on. They're punching them out by a person that's rich. Like, we got a black and gold suit on right now. You get whooped downtown. Yeah, these things protesting. Go downtown with a black and gold suit on the wrong neighborhood, man. You get whooped now. Right now, at 47 years, 50 years old, you get your mouth busted wearing a black and gold or blue and black suit on in the wrong neighborhood today. And you're a father and shit. Why you beating my dad up? You got the wrong motherfucking colors on. Man.
It happens.
Shit crazy, man.
Yeah, it is. Any more of this or that?
No, that was mine.
Hey yo, I had a ball, man. I just want to say that, man. This is like this is really cool as hell. You know what I mean? This is. Hey, guess what's fucked up about this, y'all? Like literally, like 6 months ago, I stopped drinking, right? And this shit got me wanting to go get a motherfucking vodka tonic or a vodka cranberry.
Midway documentary. We break people down.
It's like so many memories and shit. You just like I thought. After I get through this interview, I got to sit by myself and look at the fucking walls. Like, what the fuck just happened? You know what I mean?
You were great, right now. A lot of fun, dude. Your stories are hysterical, dude.
It's funny.
Hysterical.
And if I don't make it funny, I'm acting. Fuck you.
Oh my God! No, you were great. Thank you, man. We appreciate you taking the time to come do this for us.
All right, man. Peace and love for Chicago, baby.
Good time.
Yes.
Oh, real quick, because every once in a while, whenever I can, I try to pull this off. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see that.
The artist was drawn.
Nice.
Gotta finish that up. But,
Nice.
Anyway, From time to time, I sneak one in.
You snuck it in while he was telling his stories.
Oh, whoa, that's supposed to be me?
That was you.
I wanted to give him. I wanted to give him something to be excited about.
Let me see it again.
I don't want you to go out and break your non-drinking habit, because then we'll have to take you to like Oprah show or Dr. Phil, something. We have to get you right. So I wanted to give you something to smile about.
Hell no. Hey, I've been Diddy Bop. Hell no. I'm throwing this shit away. Hell no. That's the funny shit.
Yeah, man.
Who drew that, Doug? You the one who drew that picture, Doug?
Yeah, he drew that picture of Doug. Yeah.
Man, I was wondering who did that shit. You just answered like the Maltese Falcon and some old mystery I was thinking about. Who the fuck is it? Man, I know. I'm cool with it now.
Like they don't even look like Doug. Get out of here.
No, it does look like Doug. I just want to know where the hell he get the hat from. Like, what is Doug doing? Selling sausages? Oh, that was great.
That's nuts.
So
good. Oh my God, Orko, that's amazing. You're
my friend.
You're bananas, bro.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Let me get back to work over here, man.
All right, man. Thank you again so much. I appreciate it, Orko.
Hey, Eric, if people want to find you and follow you, where can they go to get more info on you?
Well, they can go on Facebook on the Rodney Orko Wade, because, you know what I mean, I had to put the Orko in the middle because for some strange reason they thought that I was separate. So Rodney Orko Wade on Facebook. You know, hey, you know those entertainers be trying to pull up themselves and shit. We got to make it politically correct. You can tweet me and you can go to Instagram on the Rodney Orko Wade. Hey, guess how they can keep on me? 87 in the damn Ryan Harrells.
That's right.
Beautiful.
So
good. That's the one I go to.
Yeah, that's the safe one. What you tell them, you don't get beat up by folks.
Yep. I mean, let's be real. That's exactly why you go to that one.
Oh,
when I was one of my wrong neighborhood stories is when I was in high school, I played a lot of basketball, and I was in a different neighborhood playing basketball. I was there for hours, and then the next day I got up, packed my school bag, walked into school, and 3 guys stopped me. They had like sticks and bats and shit, and they're like, yo, we saw you playing basketball over there. What the hell are you doing over here? I was like, well, then if you were watching me playing basketball over there, what the hell are you doing here? And they were about to jack me up because I was playing basketball in the wrong neighborhood.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm like, did you bust your ankles? Your feelings are hurt? Like, what? Help me understand why you upset with me right
now. Sensitive feelings.
But yo,
that's why.
Hold on, yo. But look, since I'm getting up out of here, right? I figure we'll take y'all out on this.
Orko's the first dude to have his own theme music.
Nice.
That's hip hop, yo.
Yeah,
there you go. That
Orko, thank you, my friend.
All right, bro. Let me get back to work on video.
Cool.
Get it done, son.
All right.
As we finish up everything else, where can people find us at, Risky?
Us, midwaydocumentary.com.
Well, let's go. We go around the horn, so I'm going to start with you.
All right. Best place to find me is on Instagram, DJ Risky Biz 1975, DJ Risky Biz at DJ Risky Biz 1975 on Instagram, and then it's probably the best place to find me. It's where I'm active a lot.
Sean Doe.
DJ Sean Doe, SeanDoe on Instagram, Twitter.
Carlos.
I am Coconut Justice. Just do a search. I'm there.
And
Google
you
me.
can find me on Twitter and Instagram at 278 Media. The numbers 278 and Media. And Midway, of course, you can find us midwaydocumentary.com, Facebook.com/Midway Documentary, and on Twitter and Instagram at Midway Doc. Our usual sponsors, Genesis, Art Supply, and Emporium Arcade Bar. Shouts out to Doug Imp and High Power Studios for providing the intro beats. And just a quick reminder, we are going to be on Q4 Radio tomorrow, or Wednesday night. Tomorrow's Tuesday. So Wednesday night at 8:30. You can check that out, Slim Show, at q4.org, and come out to the Chicago History Museum on the 31st and check out everything that's going on there. We'll be posting that kind of stuff up this week to check out, and that's all I got.
Check out the new Tone B vignette too. We started back with the vignettes. Make sure you check out the Tone B vignette.
That's a good one.
It is a good one.
It's a good one.
All right, guys. Until the next episode. Oh, and the next episode is next Monday, and we will be speaking with Prime, aka
Nice.
Andre Vasquez, and talking
That's
about
gonna
his change, his change into a family man and a political man from the battle rhymer that he used to be.
Shouts out to Vice Verse listening tonight and
Yes.
Shazam
Bangles.
Shazam, yeah, the Yorkie, yep, Shazam. It's all about getting the Yorkie.
Then
was
Mr.
hilarious.
Escape, blase blah.
Yep.
Always checking in. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right,
Until next
sign
week.
off.
See
Peace.
you later.
Peace.